I relied on my status as your childhood friend to bully the eldest miss of the Liu family, Liu Ruyen, for 17 long years. She detested me to her very core. Then the truth of my birth was exposed. From a true young master, I became nothing but a fraud. She told me, a son of a gambler like you is not worthy of me. Stop daydreaming. Just like that, my heart turned completely cold toward her. I said to my childhood friend Liu Ruyen, I am sorry. I was wrong in the past, and I caused you so much trouble. It won't happen again. Liu Ruyen didn't even spare me a glance, leaving me to be cast out of the house. 5 years later, when I met her, my sister, and everyone else again, seeing me in these tattered rags, emaciated and sallow like this, no one could believe it. Is this truly the person who was once arrogant young master of high society? Liu Ruyen stared at me for a long time, then asked indifferently, how have you lived these past years? I clutched my torn hem and whispered, very well, ma'am. My sister Yizhui heard this and sneered mockingly. Well, certainly lived well, but there are those who died because of you. I hung my head low in apology. I'm sorry. I am truly deeply sorry. In the past, I was reckless and defiant, arrogant and tyrannical, feared and loathed by everyone in the elite circles. Back then, relying on my status as the young master, I obsessively pursued my childhood friend Liu Ruyen. Even my sister Yizhui usually had to show me a measure of respect. However, once the truth of my birth was revealed 5 years ago, they sent me back to my biological father. My biological father was a gambling addict who beat and cursed me every single day. Until a few days before he passed away, my adoptive parents came to bring me back. Those miserable years have worn away all my edges, teaching me only how to obey and submit. Now, even where my childhood friend and sister treat me this way, I don't have a single word of complaint. The fact that they would even take me back makes me incredibly grateful already. Soon the car pulled up before the gates of the old Yi family villa. Turning to this place, where I lived for over a decade, feels like several lifetimes have passed. After getting out, Liu Ruyen and Yi Shu walked side by side in front, while I timidly followed closely behind them. I just kept walking. Sister Yi Shu turned to Ruyen. Ruyen, this disaster is back, so you must be careful. Don't let him cling to you again. Liu Ruyen looked straight ahead with a sharp gaze. Is that so? Would he even dare? Hearing this from behind, I thought for a moment and spoke with a tremble. No, I won't do that anymore. I was wrong before, and I caused you so much trouble. I truly apologize. Liu Ruyen, walking in front, heard those words, and her expression faltered for a brief second, before she spoke to Yi Shu in that same indifferent tone. Let's go, before our eyes are stained by such filth. Yeshu let out a cold snicker, glanced back at me once, and barked, Hurry up! From behind, I quickly scrambled to keep up. The moment I stepped into the Ye family living room, Mother Ye saw my gaunt and pale appearance, and immediately rushed forward to grasp my hand. Tears began to stream down her face. My child, how have you become so withered? She couldn't understand at all, for 5 years ago, when I was sent back to my father, the Ye family had given him a significant amount of money. So why had I become so wretched? Sister Ye Shu stood nearby and sneered. He's just acting, to make you feel sorry for him, Mother. Mother Ye Li Qin sternly scolded her, then turned back to me with a pained gaze. It's all right. It's just good that you're home. Now that your biological father is gone, you stay right here. This will always be your home. I will still cherish you as my own son, okay? I gently pulled my hand away and softly said, That you brought me back? I am already so grateful. Anything more, I wouldn't dare to ask. As soon as I spoke, Li Qin's tears fell even more uncontrollably. She arranged for me to stay at the Ye house. By now, they no longer had a son. Their biological son, who was found that year, had passed away from illness not long after. And so, I moved back into my old room. The room was exactly as it was 5 years ago. That night, lying on the soft bed, I dreamt once more of the torment from my biological father. I jolted awake from the nightmare, intending to go downstairs, just to catch some air. But the moment I stepped out, at the corner of the hallway, I heard Sister Yi Shu's voice. Now he won't even be able to touch a single strand of your hair. Yi Shu was sitting at the bar, sipping on foreign liquor, while talking to the person on the other end. The family has arranged a blind date for him, so you don't need to worry anymore. I could vaguely guess who was on the other end of the line. I had returned, and Liu Ruyen must despise it, which is why she called Yi Shu in the dead of night to confirm my situation. But she was surely worrying too much. The me of now wouldn't dare dream of a high-born lady anymore. I curled my lips in a bitter smile, preparing to turn back to my room when a shout came from behind. "Stop right there." I turned around. Sister Yushu scanned me from head to toe, then coldly asked, "What are you doing here? Planning to hurt someone again?" I bowed my head and replied, "I just wanted to step out for a moment to clear my head." Yushu took a step forward and suddenly grabbed me by the collar. "Do you think you're still the Yi family's young master, that you can just wander around as you please?" I quickly apologized. "I won't do it again. I promise, I won't do it again." Yushu looked at me with pure disgust. "Don't think that bringing you back means you're here to live in luxury. Haven't you learned to stop your delusional dreaming yet?" With that, she shoved me hard, sending me sprawling to the floor, then turned and walked away. I slowly crawled up from the floor and silently returned to my room. The call between Yi Shui and Liu Ruyan hadn't been cut yet, so Liu Ruyan had heard everything that happened. When Yi Shui returned to the bar, Liu Ruyan suddenly asked, "You just said your family arranged for him to go on a blind date." Yi Shui took a sip of her drink and smiled triumphantly. "That's right. Mother arranged it for him. The meeting is in a few days. Once he's there, I guarantee hell-fine living is worse than death." Sure enough, a few days later, my adoptive mother, Li Qin, arranged for me to get into Yishua's car. I asked tremulously, "Sister, where are we going?" Sister Yishu, in the driver's seat, replied, "Mother arranged this for you anyway, so you better behave well." I bowed my head and said, "Yes, sister." Now, no matter where I went, it was surely better than my biological father's place. The car stopped in front of a restaurant. I was very familiar with this place, as Liu Ruyan used to come here often. Back then, I would wait here for her every single day. Yishu led me to a private room deep inside. She didn't go in, leaving me to enter alone. "Wait here. Someone will come to meet you soon." I didn't ask further, only nodded and said, "Understood." Then I entered the room and waited in silence. However, I waited for an entire day, and besides myself, not a single soul entered. I just sat there in silence until the sun had fully set, and Yishu finally called me. She gave me a new address and told me to go there. I knew that place. It was a high-end club under Liu Ruyan's name. I didn't dare ask anything else, hung up, and immediately left the restaurant. However, it was pouring rain outside. Luckily, the club wasn't too far, so I ran through the rain to the club entrance, but was blocked by the security outside. I called Yishu, but no one answered. The cold wind and rain soaked through my thin clothes, and I stood shivering before the club doors. Two people on the upper floor of the club watched my miserable state from above. Yeshui looked down from the window, laughing as she said to Liu Ruyan, "Let's see how much longer he can keep up this act." Liu Ruyan swirled the glass in her hand, asking, "Did he really wait all day?" Yeshui had someone watching me all day. She sneered, "He certainly did. The family arranged a marriage for him, with the eldest miss of the Lin family, Lin Yufei. You know her. She's a stubborn one, and the Lin family only agreed to this to repay a debt of gratitude. But Lin Yufei refuses. No matter what, she won't show up to meet him. That's why she left him abandoned in that room all day. Yet, Yeshui still felt resentful deep down. He's just a fake. And yet Mother Li Qin still goes to such lengths for him. Furthermore, after his identity was exposed and he was cast out, during the 5 years I was gone, Li Qin spent her days in tears, even suffering from depression. Liu Ruyan, standing beside her, took a large gulp of liquor, asking, "Is Lin Yufei in the next room?" Yishu replied, "Yeah, she is. She's probably in there with a crowd of debauched friends." Liu Ruyan said with a cryptic look, "Go and tell her." Yishu was confused. Why? If Lin Yufei sees that fraud, she'll just take the chance to humiliate him more. But Liu Ruyan only smiled and said Lin Yufei wouldn't choose him. Despite her doubts, Yishu went to the next room to inform Lin Yufei. Lin Yufei, predictably, didn't bother coming to see me, but she sent others out to deal with me. Several well-dressed men stepped out of the club. The leader was someone I recognized. I had offended him in the past. He approached me, sneering. "Look who we have here, everyone." The two men behind him also stepped forward to glare at me. "Oh, isn't this the Yi family's great young master? Ah, my mistake, I forgot he's just a common fraud." Faced with such mockery, I didn't react at all, only stood there shivering in the rain. After a round of laughter, one of them asked, "Did you come looking for Sister Yufei? Seeing as you can't cling to Sister Ruyan in this state, are you planning to seduce Sister Yufei instead?" Another added, "That reminds me. He's a cold-blooded killer. Back then, when Liu Ruyan ignored him, he hired people to kidnap her lover, Xiang Di, causing Xiang Di to lose his life. How can you even show your face and live until now? I bit my lip, fear evident in my eyes. Back then, Liu Ruyan had also choked me and asked that very same question. I had cried and said it wasn't me, that I was kidnapped too, that I was also a victim. But Liu Ruyan didn't believe me. No one believed me. Just like now, standing in the freezing rain, I still couldn't defend myself. It's my fault. It's all my fault. The moment I spoke, those men were all stunned. A young master who once looked down on everyone, cold and tyrannical, was now capable of speaking to them in such a groveling tone. The leader let out a mocking laugh. Only now do you realize it's your fault. Why didn't you admit it in court? Seeing that I didn't offer any excuse, one of them gave me a hard shove. I stumbled, my frail body collapsing onto the steps. Finding no resistance from me, they began to find it boring. Upstairs, Liu Ruyan held a thin cigarette by the window, watching everything unfold below with indifference. Just as she thought those men were bored and were about to leave, the leader below suddenly delivered a thunderous slap to my face. Watching from above, Sister Yi Shu was also momentarily stunned. She was waiting for my reaction, but I only quietly clutched my face, motionless. He grabbed my arm and kicked me forcefully, sending me tumbling down the stairs. The security guards nearby rushed over to check. Fortunately, the injuries weren't too severe. Afterward, I returned to the car. My childhood sweetheart Liu Ruyan and I sat side by side in the back seat. I was completely soaked. I knew there were spare towels in the car, but Liu Ruyan had no intention of giving me one. Liu Ruyan thought to herself that if I would only beg, perhaps she would show some mercy. Just like in the old days, I would take her hand and plead, "Sister Ruyan, could you help me this once? Just this one time." But she didn't know at all that I would never beg her for anything ever again. A moment later, Liu Ruyan spoke. "Ye Shui went to find Lin Yufei, so I'll take you back." I hummed my head and whispered, "Actually, I can make it back on my own." Liu Ruyan sneered. Ye Shui asked me to do this, implying she wasn't doing it out of the kindness of her heart. I nodded. I understand. I bowed my head in thought, then looked up at her. "I know you don't want to see me anymore. I was immature before and made many mistakes, causing you no shortage of trouble. But those kinds of mistakes, I won't ever repeat them again." Liu Ruyan still didn't even glance at me, asking, "What kind of mistakes?" I lowered my gaze and whispered, "Liking you." Then I got out. The umbrella covered me, but I was already soaked to the bone, layer upon layer, so getting wetter didn't matter. But Liu Ruyan shouldn't be stained by these filthy puddles. The two of us walked together through the cold rain. There was only one umbrella, held by Liu Ruyan. I didn't dare get too close, keeping to myself under the canopy. Glancing over, I saw that one of Liu Ruyan's shoulders was getting wet. I took a deep breath, summoning the courage to speak. "You don't need to shield me. I'm already completely soaked." Liu Ruyan's voice didn't change at all, remaining as stiff as ever, but tinged with a cruel, cold authority. "I just don't want Li Qin blaming me for not taking care of you, so don't flatter yourself." Flattering myself is something I truly wouldn't dare. How agonizing the price of that past affection was, I will always remember deep in my bones. I walked the rest of the way in silence. When the lights of the Ye Villa came into view, Liu Ruyan spoke once more. "Those words in the car just now, make sure you keep them. In the car, I had said that liking her was wrong, clinging to her was wrong, and that such mistakes would never happen again." I nodded in assurance. "I promise. I was just far too immature before. I truly feel very sorry for all of it." During this entire walk, I don't know how many times I've apologized. Back when I was still pursuing her, Liu Ruyan had longed so many times to hear me say I was giving up, but now that she was finally hearing it, she didn't seem happy at all. Liu Ruyan fell silent, her heart as still as water as she folded the umbrella. A servant from the Yi family came out to meet us, glancing at Liu Ruyan and me, then handed a towel to Liu Ruyan first. Those who fawn over the rich and despise the poor knew at a glance I was no longer a Yi. Even the servants here felt they could look down on me. Liu Ruyan didn't take it, her eyes cold as ice. "Do you think I need this more than him?" The servant awkwardly handed the towel to me, muttering, "I'll go get another one." Liu Ruyan said indifferently, "No need, in leaving right now." Just as Li Qin was coming down from upstairs, she saw the two of us standing together. She hurried over, worry and pain etched clearly on her face. "How did you get so drenched?" "You were perfectly fine when you left. Why didn't you use an umbrella?" I clutched the towel and said, "I'm all right, Mother." How can you say you're all right when you're soaked through? Li Qian called out to his servant, Madam Yang, hurry and prepare hot water for Xiaoji's bath, or the boy will surely fall ill. No matter what, the love of my adoptive mother Li Qian had never faded. I whispered my thanks, then silently took slow, deliberate steps upstairs. The gazes of both people below were fixed on me. Mother Yi was the first to speak. She looked at Liu Ruyan, suspicion hidden beneath her gentle exterior, asking, Ruyan, why did you bring Xiaoji back? I remember telling Yi Shu to take him. Liu Ruyan, devoid of emotion, recounted the facts. Lin Yufei didn't show, so Ye Shui went to find her. Li Qian's dignified face darkened for a moment. How could that be? That is completely disrespectful. I must speak with her parents about this. After saying that, Li Qian gently added, Thank you for your help nonetheless. If anything like this happens again, just have Ye Shui call me directly. Liu Ruyan nodded, but then dropped a cryptic sentence. I heard you're planning to have Shang Tao move in here. I have locked my door, allowing no one to enter. Li Qian knocked and asked, Xiaojie, are you feeling very tired? Do you want some medicine to prevent a cold deer? My hand faltered for a second as I answered softly, No need, mother. I'm not that fragile. For the past 5 years, never mind a sniffle, even when I was beaten until my joints were dislocated. I only knew to bite down on a rag and set them myself. The moment my limbs felt slightly better, before I could even care about the old or new wounds, I had to drag myself up, to face the wind and snow to earn a living. Every winter, I only had a pair of shoes with torn soles. The snow would seep inside, until my toes turned a frozen dark purple. Compared to that, getting caught in the rain was truly nothing. After changing, I went outside, where Li Qian was still waiting for me. She took my hand, asking anxiously, I told Yi Shu to take good care of you, so why did she let you get drenched like this? I replied obediently, It's all right, mother. Since returning, I had learned how to be understanding, becoming polite, gentle, and more considerate of others. In the past, Li Qian prayed every day that I would become a bit more sensible, not so spoiled or willful, and that I wouldn't anger my father. Yet now that I had truly become that person, her motherly heart couldn't help but feel a pang of sorrow. She pulled me to sit beside her, stroking my hair and my thin, bony shoulders, as her eyes welled up with pity. My return this time was only possible because of her persistent fight. I also had my own requirements. She couldn't overindulge me anymore, couldn't let me be spoiled ever again. If I happened to offend someone, there would be no one left to save me. I wasn't used to this intimacy or being doted upon, so I gently moved her hand away. Mother, I can do it myself. Li Qian didn't let go, saying, Xiaoji, these past years were my fault, for not being able to visit you. I smiled calmly. I understand, mother. Li Qian finally asked the question that had been weighing on her. Do you still feel something for Ruyan? Before she finished, I gave a slight shake of my head. There's nothing left. I know my place now. Rest assured, mother. Li Qian choked up. I didn't mean it that way. I nodded. I know. I won't cause any more trouble, especially those major troubles like killing someone. I won't do it again. I wouldn't ever dare. The more sincere I was, the more that smile made others ache with pity. I didn't look back, just continued to wait. I'll find a way to meet the girl you introduced to me. If marriage is possible, that would be best. But if not, I won't stay and make things difficult for you. The next day, Lin Yufei arrived to pick me up. On the way, Lin Yufei sat on the other side, resting her cheek on her hand as she watched the streets pass. Meanwhile, I sat timidly and properly, with my hands on my thighs, head bowed and completely silent. This was a far cry from everything Lin Yufei had ever heard about me. In their words, I was an arrogant brat who looked down on everyone, using my family's wealth to always be the center of attention, making sure all eyes were on me. But the me of right now was like an ancient tree whose life had withered away. Even the color of the wood turned a dull, dark gray. After ordering at the restaurant, time seemed to stand still. Li Qian wants me to marry you, you know that, right? I lowered my head and answered softly, I know. Lin Yufei continued, I won't marry you. Lin Yufei was still young, still in the prime of her carefree youth. Telling her to wed a man with such a stained reputation, she would rather die. Lin Yufei said irritably, if you have any sense, you'll find a way to tell Li Qian the truth soon, so my mother stops nagging and annoying me all the time. I bit my lip, my hands clutching my shirt, and asked timidly, could we just try once? Subtitle continued. Subtitle continued. Subtitle continued. Subtitle continued. Subtitle continued. Subtitle continued. Just 1 month, so I agreed to mother's arrangement. To go on a blind date with Lin Yufei, I muttered to her. Let's just try to get to know each other for a month. Just 1 month. I know that no one will ever love me again. I don't dare to hope for too much. I just want to stay. I want to stay. Then I must cling to someone or a relationship. Lin Yufei is no saint either, but she is my only life boy. I continued, if it still doesn't work out, then just tell the family that we aren't compatible. My voice sounds so strange, like a stutterer. Seeing my state, Lin Yufei's mood seemed to improve slightly. Lin Yufei leaned back and burst into laughter. No wonder people say you're no good. Whenever you open your mouth, it's all dirty schemes. I softly whispered an apology. It was almost like a plea, if it's still not possible. But Lin Yufei replied, fine. Then she teased, but I must warn you first, I'm not a good person. You might not even survive this month. Hearing that, Lin Yufei took me out. Yi Shue was just waiting to see a joke. Lin Yufei is impulsive and never cares about the consequences. She will surely scold me terribly. Thinking of my face darkening with humiliation, Yi Shue's mood became wonderful. Yi Shue stood by the window, watching the mid-sized sedan pull up downstairs. Lin Yufei got out of the car first. She seemed to suddenly remember our agreement. She turned back to open the car door for me. This sight was unbelievable in Yi Shue's eyes. She froze by the window, clutching her teacup tightly. Her teeth were gritted. Lin Yufei brought me back and left immediately. Adoptive mother Li Qin kept me downstairs for a long talk. I had just stepped upstairs when I ran straight into the one who hates me enough to skin me alive, Yi Shue. As soon as Yi Shue saw me, she lashed out. Don't think you've actually changed your ways. I didn't expect that after years outside. You'd learn such despicable tactics. Lin Yufei has met countless men. She should have despised you. And yet she personally brought you back. Yushu didn't need to think twice to know I'd used some scheme. I took a few steps back. Trembling and uneasy, I replied, I didn't. Yushu sneered and lowered her voice. You didn't? Then why did Lin Yufei immediately bring you back like that? I gripped the staircase railing and said, she just didn't want to be scolded by her family. Yushu warned me, don't think that by clinging to her, you can achieve the dream of a toad eating swan meat. With the scandal following you, I'm certain no one would ever marry you. I have no such intention. I lost hope long ago. Liu Ruyan didn't love me then, and now I won't be loved by anyone. I've tasted this pain for far too long. It has become a permanent state of numbness. Yeshua smiled. She lifted the cup of hot tea in her hand and splashed it directly onto my head. The water was scalding, but I stood perfectly still. This humiliation could no longer cause me more pain. She smashed the teacup. Yeshua took a step forward. Grabbing my arm tightly, she growled, since you want to climb so high, why don't I take you for a ride before returning here? I knew for sure she would never leave me alone. In their eyes, I'm the one who killed Xiang Di. I must pay with my life. But I'm still alive and well, so a fate worse than death is the price I must pay. Under the bone-chilling cold of the night, city lights of Muzhou began to glow. The shimmering lights were dazzling. I followed Yishu silently into the Seaman nightclub. She's a regular here. As soon as we entered, a staff member led her into a luxurious VIP room. I followed behind, as silent as a ghost. But the moment I stepped through that door, I suddenly became the center of everyone's attention. But in those gazes, there was an intent to watch a spectacle. The flashing, dazzling lights shone directly onto my face. I instinctively bowed my head to avoid them. I could avoid the lights, but I couldn't escape the sarcasm and insults. Sure, who is this? Why don't you introduce him? Before Yi Shu could speak, someone cut in. Are you blind? You don't even recognize the young Master Yi. The status and dignity I once fought so hard to protect now turned into sharp blades, stabbing back at myself. Yi Shu reclined lazily on the sofa. She called my name loudly. Let's call this your welcome home party. Yi Shu silently signaled the group. They immediately understood her intent. Isn't it about forcing someone to drink and tormenting them? This is exactly their specialty. The chaotic noise from the microphone was deafening, but Yi Shue's voice was the clearest. She urged Ruyan in a loud voice. Come to Siman quickly, there's a great show here. Liu Ruyan had just finished a social gathering. She wasn't very interested in Yi Shue's games, and busy in not going. Yi Shue anticipated her refusal, so she chuckled. Ye Xiaojie is the leading man. Do you really not want to see this play? The driver opened the car door for Liu Ruyan. She leaned in and sat down, gently rubbing her forehead. Finally, she accepted the invitation. The car headed towards Simon. When she arrived, it was an hour later. Throughout this entire hour, Under Yi Shu's direction, I was like a cornered little mouse. They called it a welcome party for me. But in reality, it was to take turns forcing me to drink. My alcohol tolerance was never high, with just a few glasses down. My stomach felt like a raging fire was burning. If I kept drinking, that fire would burn me to ashes. My throat was burning and dry. Still, someone held the drink, gripping my chin tightly, pouring a glass of strong liquor into my mouth. I was pinned down. The liquor choked me, and I vomited uncontrollably. The alcohol soaked my entire face. It flowed down my body. My collar was also filthy. Dazzling lights stopped flashing and rested right above my head, as if to expose all my misery and ugliness. When Liu Ruyan entered, this sight was what caught her eye. Proud young master, the one who was always at the center, now a toy for others. Forced to drink, pushed down. Everyone in the room held up their phones to take pictures, to capture this glorious moment. The man who once looked down on the world has fallen into the abyss, becoming someone anyone could bully. For them, this was truly something worth celebrating. Liu Ruyan stood right at the door. Amidst the mocking laughter of the crowd, someone recognized her. Someone kicked the person who was forcing me to drink. Look, Ruya Nuna is here. He chuckled and grabbed another bottle, just in time. Let Ruya Nuna handle this. It'll surely be satisfying. We've wanted to crush his arrogance for a long time. Right? The whole crowd chimed in. Liu Ruyan remained motionless. Her eyes were fixed on my face. I was still coughing and gasping, as if wanting to vomit all that alcohol out. My face turned from bright red to deathly pale, clearly suffering so much I wished for death. But I didn't resist or struggle at all, just letting them toy with and humiliate me. Cowering in the corner, I looked so fragile and helpless. Those eyes seemed to bear thousands of scars. Only numbness and deep wounds remained. Yuzhua glanced over. She called out to Liu Ruyan, "Come over here. Why are you just standing there?" I could only curl up into a ball. My stomach churned like a roaring sea, but I didn't dare utter a single cry of pain. Under the erosion of a heavy cold and the numbness of alcohol, in my delirium, I thought this place was my home, the place where I'd be brutally beaten if I wasn't obedient. So no matter how much it hurt, I could grit my teeth and endure it. Liu Ruyan walked inside. A single glance was enough to find it disgusting and filthy. Seeing that Liu Ruyan didn't object. Suddenly, a man rose from his seat. The light clearly illuminated his face. It was Jiang Chen. He took a fruit plate and dumped it on the floor. Then he bent down to pick them up and walked over to me. He gripped my chin, forced me up, and asked, "Well? Feeling any better yet?" I wiped the traces of alcohol from my lips and nodded vaguely. Even if I wasn't fine, I had to say I was. Jiang Chen said with a laugh, "Since you're feeling better, why don't you eat something?" Jiang Chen held out the fruit plate that he had just picked up from the floor. "Forcing me to eat," he asked. "Following that gambling old man of yours, you never had a chance to taste such fine things, right?" This was actually true. Forget about eating fruit. Even a sip of warm water was a blessing. In their eyes, this might be very filthy. But I've eaten customers' leftovers before. I've picked up discarded bread and sandwiches from convenience stores, things others threw away for pigs, were the meals I cherished. So what if it just fell on the floor? I suppressed the nausea in my stomach, holding out my frostbitten hand. I picked up a cherry tomato and put it in my mouth, to satisfy their pleasure in watching the show. Under Liu Ruyan's sideways glance, I didn't hesitate, slowly chewing and swallowing that tomato. Cries immediately broke out. "Oh my God, he's actually eating it. Doesn't he find it dirty? How disgusting. Look at his hands. They're so hideous." Those comments didn't hold back at all, but I didn't care. I still smiled and said, "It's delicious." "Thank you. It really is very sweet." The last time I had fruit, it was a rotten apple. Both bitter and incredibly sour. Not good at all. Jiang Chen smirked. "Delicious? Then eat some more." As he was about to reach for the next piece, the fruit plate was suddenly snatched away. Liu Ruyan stood tall in front of me. She tossed both the fruit and the plate into the trash. The whole room fell silent immediately. Liu Ruyan never liked these kinds of games. Taking pleasure in humiliating others was nothing but childish. A rare trace of irritation appeared in her heart. I'm sure she was angry with this crowd, or she despised my degradation. She looked at me with contempt. "You like eating it that much? Then go and pick it up yourself." Having said that, Liu Ruyan leaned down and wiped her hands with a tissue and walked straight out of the room. Outside the door was the sound of loud laughter. They ganged up to push me toward the trash to pick up the food. Liu Ruyan didn't want to hear any more. She hurried away. Suddenly, she reached into her pocket. Realizing her phone was missing, she had to go back to find it. While passing the restroom, the sound of vomiting echoed from within. It sounded piercing. I vomited until my limbs went weak. The world was spinning as I rinsed my mouth, washed my hands, and stepped out. Then I was startled by Liu Ruyan standing right at the door. I immediately stood up straight. Bowing slightly, I whispered, "Miss Liu." Despite just enduring such humiliation and resentment, I could still act as if nothing had happened, respectfully calling her Miss Liu. Liu Ruyan couldn't believe it no matter what, that this was my way of acting. She frowned and asked, "You knew the consequences of coming here. Why did you still come?" I could only bow my head, softly saying, "Sister Yishu was just joking with me. I've always been good at gnawing on my own pain. These trivial matters are nothing." I called Yishu's sister but called her Miss Liu. Liu Ruyan suddenly found it ridiculous. She couldn't help but snap. "She's not your sister anymore. If you want to cling to connections, you've found the wrong person." The day Xiangdi and I were kidnapped together, Yishu, who was almost like blood, heartlessly abandoned me to save someone else. When faced with that choice, Liu Ruyan saw her regret and self-blame with her own eyes. With bloodshot eyes, she had said, "I'm sorry, Xiaoji." But when she learned the kidnapping was orchestrated by me, Yishu no longer felt any regret or self-blame, but declared with her own mouth that she had no brother like me, even saying it would have been better if I were the one who died. I didn't find it ironic, just curling my lip. Right? I should call her Miss Yi. Liu Ruyan asked again. "Yishu said you met Lin Yufei, right?" This shouldn't have been something Liu Ruyan cared about. Once she spoke up, there must have been a reason. I nodded. Liu Ruyan said indifferently, "If possible. Then marry her quickly. I've already made it clear that I will never cling to her again." It seems she still hasn't truly felt at ease, to the point of being eager for me to marry Lin Yufei and get it over with. After all, she worked so hard to get rid of me. It's only natural that Liu Ruyan is still haunted. I hesitated, but Miss Lin doesn't like me at all. That's the truth. I didn't want to lie anymore. Suddenly I remembered something. I quickly explained, "But don't worry, I won't come looking for you because of that." Just then the phone rang. I ignored Liu Ruyan's cold face and turned away. My frost-chapped hand gently covered the receiver. I answered in a very low voice, "Okay, I'll be right there." Liu Ruyan's question came faster than thought. "Did Yeshue call?" I replied in a low voice, "No, it's Lin Yufei. We agreed to get to know each other for a month. During this month, I must be ready whenever she calls. No matter how outrageous Lin Yufei's demands are, I'm not allowed to refuse." The surrounding atmosphere suddenly turned cold. I was a bit dazed for a moment, but I didn't notice anything unusual. "I'm leaving now. Goodbye." I gently stepped aside. Liu Ruyan suddenly burst out laughing. She said, "Lin Yufei will never marry you. Stop wasting your time. In Muzhou, any woman with even a bit of status would never even spare a glance at the current me." That was the harsh truth Liu Ruyan just emphasized. After going through so many incidents, how could I not know in the one everyone shuns? I smiled slightly, then said, "If I don't try, how will I know if the outcome is good?" That look and smile of mine evoked old memories within her. She had also warned me in the same stern tone back then. "I don't like you, and I will never marry you. Stop wasting your effort on me." Back then, I wasn't as devoted and faithful as I am now. I just treated it as a joke and replied, "You won't marry me, then I'll be your boyfriend for life." Memories flooded back like a wound being reopened. Liu Ruyan said with a cold laugh, "It seems the last outcome still hasn't woken you up." I was silent for a while before replying, precisely because I've been through it. I'm certain things can't get any worse. I have let go of my feelings for Liu Ruyan. Now, speaking of the past, my heart feels much lighter. I look like I'm smiling. But deep in my eyes is a desolate landscape. When I arrived, it was 5 minutes past the appointment. Lin Yufei clearly showed her displeasure. She didn't call me here to get to know each other, but to serve her little lover. He's a young star in the pretty boy style. The celebrity looked at me with hostility and asked, "Yufei Nuna, is he the man your family found for you?" To suit her lover, Lin Yufei didn't hesitate to call me here for him to humiliate. Now she's hugging him and laughing. "That's right, it's him." The celebrity pouted. "What part of him is even worthy of you?" He suddenly sat up, lowering the car window, letting the cold wind rush in. He shook Lin Yufei's arm, said, "You must not marry him." "No way." This soft, whining act works perfectly on Lin Yufei. Lin Yufei replied dotingly, Didn't I already hand him over to you? Just vent your anger as much as you want. The two sat in the warm, comfortable commercial vehicle, staring at me like they were watching a joke. Those flirtatious words reached my ears, but I kept a calm expression. As long as it puts adoptive mother Li Qin's mind at ease, I'll do whatever I am told. Lin Yufei opened the car door, called me in a commanding voice like a servant. Hey! Yes, Xiaojie. Do you remember what you promised me last time? I replied, I remember. Lin Yufei ordered. Guagua's assistant is sick. Follow him for the next few days. Do whatever he tells you to do. Lin Yufei is still too young, so impulsive and naive. To make me hate her, she even thought of this low tactic. She was looking forward to seeing me explode with rage. But I am someone who is far too easy to control. I even accepted this unreasonable request. Lin Yufei was silent for a moment, then said, I see you truly have no self-respect. You brought this on yourself. These past few days, Liu Ruyan has been busy with work. As soon as she got home, she heard that I've been with Lin Yufei lately. Yishu mocked. They say he's with her. But he's actually serving her pretty boy lover. That little star is served. How could he serve someone else? I was born with a silver spoon served since childhood. Yishu shook her head and sighed. You weren't in the country lately, so you didn't see his groveling, lowly appearance. Even I have no interest in tormenting him anymore. It's so boring. Mocked by Yishu, humiliated by Jiang Chen and forced to eat filth, now treated as a servant by Lin Yufei. This isn't something a normal person could endure. Liu Ruyan couldn't help but wonder, had I really changed? Liu Ruyan frowned and asked, where is he? Before coming here, Yishu thought Liu Ruyan wanted to see with her own eyes my fall from grace, my lowliness. But when she actually witnessed it, Liu Ruyan just sat quietly in the car without a word. Her face was gloomy, her thoughts unclear. This time, even Yishu couldn't guess her mind. Looking through the car window, I was struggling to pull several large suitcases, lifting them into the car. I looked so thin and sickly, but my arms were surprisingly strong, lifting them with both hands. The suitcase was placed neatly into the car. Pretty boy Star sat leisurely in the car, not even asking the driver to help, but putting all the heavy labor on my shoulders. I alone had to run back and forth several times to load everything, and yet I didn't even have the right to sit in the car. He said something unknown. I just kept nodding and hurried away. When I returned, I had cups of milk tea in my hands. I had just reached into the car for a moment. When that milk tea was splashed directly onto my face, the noise was quite loud, waking up Lin Yufei, who was fast asleep in the back. She looked dimly toward me, and couldn't help but be startled by my miserable appearance. What on earth are you doing? Lin Yufei was about to get a tissue to wipe my hands, but she was immediately stopped by that guy. That little celebrity even acted aggrieved. Yufei. He knew perfectly well I just recovered from being sick, yet he bought iced milk tea. He definitely did it on purpose. I silently wiped the milk tea stains on my shirt, without a word. I was only worried that this shirt wouldn't wash clean. And then adoptive mother Li Qin would find out. To earn money in the past, I once had a customer splash a whole pot of boiling hot pot on me, so this one cup of milk tea was nothing. I said softly, Sorry, I'll go buy you another one right away. I was just about to turn away, when Lin Yufei suddenly called me back. These past few days, I've worked hard regardless of the toil, doing far better than his previous assistant. Even when being made difficult by others, I never once opened my mouth to complain. That made Lin Yufei feel a bit guilty. Lin Yufei picked up the jacket next to her and said, Don't go anymore. Put this on and go home yourself. The celebrity still wouldn't let it go. But Lin Yufei's face suddenly darkened. She tossed the jacket to me and said, I just don't want adoptive mother Li Qin to find out. Take it. Having said that, the car quickly sped away. This scene was witnessed by the two in the other car. Yeshu clicked her tongue. I told you, he's best at playing the victim, selling misery. But Liu Ruyan suddenly opened the car door and stepped out. I shivered from the sudden cold, and as I looked up, I was met with Liu Ruyan's cold smile. I called out tremblingly, Miss Liu. Liu Ruyan didn't even bother to respond. She coldly raised her hand, seemingly wanting to press her glowing cigarette directly onto my arm. The burning ember got closer and closer, but I had no intention of avoiding it or stepping back. Liu Ruyan suddenly pulled back at that moment. She threw the cigarette down, crushed it, and snapped, Are you stupid? Why don't you know to avoid it? When they splash milk tea in your face, when forced to eat filth, why didn't you know how to dodge? Your skin was about to be burned. But Liu Ruyan has no idea. My body is still covered in scars from cigarette burns. Just don't want to clash with anyone anymore. I just want to be allowed to stay. Is even that too much to ask? When I was arrogant and reckless, she loathed me. Now that I am humble and submissive, why does she still look down on me like this? Luckily, I won't let Liu Ruyan break my heart ever again. A car horn blared, cutting through our thoughts. Liu Ruyan and I both looked toward the source of the noise. A car was parked by the side of the road. The window rolled down slowly. In the back seat sat the stern and cold face of Father Yi. The light in the office was dim and oppressive. Walking inside felt like falling into a bottomless abyss, and at the bottom of that abyss sat a judge. With a simple wave of his hand, he could decide my fate. Right now, that judge was scowling as he spoke to me. Your mother Yi Li-chin told me that you've changed a lot. Why can't I see it at all? I wasn't lying. Those eyes that used to sparkle so brightly had grown dull after years of being broken down. Father Yi sat across from me. His breath suddenly hitched in his throat. No matter what had happened, this was the son he had raised for so many years. The one he once protected with all his heart. The one he once cherished in the palm of his hand. Father Yi suddenly asked, "Do you blame us?" I replied, "I don't blame you, Father." Father Yi pressed on quickly. "Have you finally come to your senses over these past few years? Are you going to keep doing those stupid things?" Before I could even deny it, Father Yi warned me. "If it happens again, the Yi family won't be able to protect you." Not a trace of my former lively, innocent self remained. I simply whispered, "I understand." Father sighed and said, "Since you understand, why are you still hanging around Liu Ruyan?" Before he could finish, I denied it quickly and firmly. "It's not like that. We just ran into each other by chance." Father's voice deepened. "It had better stay that way." After a brief silence, he gave a stern reminder, "Xiaojie, no matter what, we truly loved you in the past. Marriage with the Liu family was discussed many times, but Liu Ruyan never once agreed to it. Over the years, she only wished you would disappear forever." I knew exactly what Father Yi wanted to hear, so I replied submissively. "Mother Li Qin wants me to be with Lin Yu Fei. If she agrees, I will marry her." Father Yi said with satisfaction, "I'm glad you've accepted that." The relentless rain from the past few days finally cleared up. Ye Shui had already finished packing her bags. She made plans with friends to go to a resort on Guxian Mountain in Muzhou. They were going to stay at the mountain villa for a few days. My adoptive mother, Li Qin, insisted that she take me along. Ye Shui looked at me with a smirk and said, "Mother, do you really want me to drag this guy along?" I stood huddled behind my adoptive mother, Li Qin, like a tiny blade of grass that couldn't even lift its head. A single gust of wind would have scattered me to the elements. I said nervously, "Mother, it's okay if I don't go." Li Qin took my hand and said firmly, "You must go." "Didn't you say Yu Fei is going too? It'll give you 2 more time to be together. There's no harm in that." Ye Shui said coldly, "Lin Yu Fei is going, but she's bringing that little starlet lover of hers along too." The situation seemed like a disaster waiting to happen, but that just seemed to make it all the more amusing to her. This resort has been open for several years now. Most of the people who come here are high society figures from Muzhou. I only got in here by piggybacking on Yi Shu's reputation. After 5 years away, much of the architecture here felt foreign to me. Stepping into this opulence and luxury once again, the first thing I thought of was the years I spent working in hotels and the grueling struggle to earn money in clubs. Yi Shu wanted to play billiards. She tossed me the room key card and barked an order. "Go on up by yourself. Don't come out and embarrass me unless you have a reason." I pulled my suitcase, preparing to head up. Ye Shu suddenly added, "Oh, right. Lin Yu Fei is staying in the room right next to yours." This arrangement was clearly intentional on her part, but I only wanted to marry Lin Yu Fei for stability. How many men she had around her, or what she did with them, didn't bother me in the least. As soon as I entered my room, sounds from next door drifted in. Cacophony of frantic noises intertwined, enough to make anyone feel overwhelmed by the sounds. I could just curl up on the sofa and drift off to sleep. A persistent pounding on the door forced me to rub my eyes and sit up. Standing outside was Lin Yu Fei's lover. He was freshly showered and wearing clean clothes. One look at him and I knew he was here to cause trouble. The little starlet sneered at me. "So you actually showed up. Can't you go one day without stalking Yu Fei?" He suddenly grabbed my arm. I was dragged outside. I hurried to explain, "I'm not. I came here with Ms. Li." The starlet said disdainfully, "Ms. Li already told Yu Fei. She said you followed her here because you knew she was coming. How can you be so pathetic and low? You just have to shadow the 2 of us, don't you? Then don't blame us for not being kind to you." Standing in the southern part of the mountain villa, Yushu raised her champagne glass and laughed. As expected, using a man to deal with another man is the most effective way. "Do you remember that intern we used to have? the one who followed you around as an assistant. How could I possibly forget? Just because that intern assistant had sat in the passenger seat of Liu Ruyan's car to drive her home while she was dead drunk, I branded him as a shady character. I secretly snitched to Liu Ruyan's mother and got him fired. The way I treated others in the past is exactly how they are treating me today. Yishu's friends asked Ruyan, "Do you think Lin Yufei will still dare to marry him after this?" Liu Ruyan stood by the window, gazing downward. She said softly, "Stop playing these games. It's really not interesting at all. How dull." Yishu smiled thinly. "Weren't you the one who said we shouldn't let him live in peace?" Those were the exact words Liu Ruyan spoke just days before I returned. In just a few short days, her attitude had completely shifted. Liu Ruyan intended to go back to her room, but Yashu had dragged her to the billiards room upstairs. She was no longer frowning because of me. It made Liu Ruyan unhappy. The billiards room was mostly filled with women today, with only 2 men sitting off to the side. Liu Ruyan leaned over to take a shot. As she pressed down on the cue, the light danced across her brows. When she was in the room, every other woman around her seemed to fade away. She sank a shot into the pocket. One of the men sitting nearby stepped forward. He took the opportunity to grab Liu Ruyan's hand. I knew Ms. Liu's billiard skills were good, but I didn't expect them to be this extraordinary. Liu Ruyan pulled her hand away coldly. She remained completely unfazed. She picked up a piece of chalk and lightly rubbed it on the tip of her cue. Then she gave it a gentle blow. The blue dust flew straight into the man's face. He scrambled backward, fuming with suppressed rage. Yet he still forced a fawning smile. "Ms. Liu, how about I play around with you? I'm actually quite good myself." Just then, someone burst in shouting, "Hey, come look, is that guy downstairs Yishu's brother?" Yishu slammed her cue down and snapped, "What brother? I don't have a brother." The person quickly corrected themselves. "Oh, my mistake. I misspoken. It's Yi Xiaoji." Yishu's face filled with annoyance. What's wrong with him now? What kind of scheme is he up to this time? She walked over. The person continued, "It's nothing major. It's just that he looks like he's about to freeze to death." Inside the resort, the temperature was kept stable, but outside on the mountain, it was near 0. At times, it even dropped below freezing. When I was dragged away, I was only wearing thin clothes. I had to walk all the way back from the beach. I had been abandoned in the middle of the sea. Jiang Chen had led a group of people, including Lin Yufei's lover. They threw me straight into the ocean. Ice-cold waves crashed against my legs, chilling me to the bone. The pressure was overwhelming. But every time I tried to crawl back onto the shore, Jiang Chen ordered someone to shine a laser pointer directly into my eyes. The blinding light left me momentarily sightless. I tumbled back into the sea several times. By the time the tide rose that night, I almost drowned or died from the cold. When I finally returned, I was naturally a complete mess. As I stepped into the South Hall, everyone's eyes were fixed on me. Groups of people surrounded me, mocking me. Their whispers swirled around me like the tide, even colder than the ocean waves outside. I didn't lift my head to look at anyone. I didn't even pause as I walked past Liu Ruyan. Whoever she was with, it no longer mattered to me. Even Yishu remained silent this time. She patted Liu Ruyan on the shoulder and said, "I didn't expect things to turn out like this." Liu Ruyan brushed her hand off. Her voice was frigid. "Are you satisfied now?" She was asking Yi Shui, but she was also asking herself. After being soaked in the ocean for so long, no matter how healthy you are, you're bound to fall seriously ill. That very night, I developed a cold and a high fever. Yi Shui called for the mountain villa's old doctor. He gave me an injection and some medicine to break the fever. But the high fever didn't subside at all. I didn't care about myself, but if Li Qin found out, it would be impossible to explain. I sat in a daze on the bed. Faint noises echoed in my dreams, small and fragmented but filled with terror. My features twisted in pain. When Liu Ruyan walked in, Ye Shui was standing by the bed, looking completely lost and frantic. "If this fever keeps up, I'm afraid he's going to suffer permanent damage." The doctor looked awkward. "That depends on the patient now. Maybe the fever will break soon." Ye Shui's face darkened as she snapped, "And if it doesn't, who's going to take responsibility? You?" She wasn't worried about me. She was just terrified of being scolded by Mother Li Qin if the truth came out. Ye Shui's eyes darted around. She looked toward Liu Ruyan and said, "Why don't you take him to the hospital for a checkup? That way, even if my mother finds out, she won't take her anger out on you." Liu Ruyan smiled thinly. "On what basis should I save him?" Of all the people here, she was surely the one who wanted me dead most of all. If she were to take me down the mountain, without dumping my body on the side of the road, it would already be an act of great mercy. Yes, she softened her tone. Do it for me then. Besides, if he dies, what will we have left to play with? After a long round of persuasion, Liu Ruyan finally agreed. I was helped into the car and laid across the back seat. Liu Ruyan realized just how much weight I had lost. As a child, I was clearly a chubby, adorable little boy. Every time I hugged her arm, it felt so soft. No matter how many times she pushed me away, I would always recklessly run back to her side. Only 5 years had passed, yet it was as if my very flesh and bone had been carved away. Lying on the seat, I felt almost weightless as the car jolted along the mountain road. My hair fell over my face, delicate eyebrows, a sharp, thin jawline. I used to be so handsome, but now that beauty was tinged with nothing but bitterness. Unbeknownst to her, Liu Ruyan had been staring at me for a long time. Even the driver noticed. Hearing that I had a cold and a high fever, my adoptive mother, Li Qin, rushed to the hospital and sobbed by my bed. It was a long time before she finally stepped outside. She choked out her thanks. Ruyan, I've troubled you so much. Liu Ruyan replied solemnly, It's no trouble at all, Aunt Li. I meant to tell you before. Lin Yufei won't marry Xiao Jie. She was the one behind what happened this time. It almost became a major disaster. Li Qin said, blaming herself, I never thought that girl could be so despicable. I will definitely demand justice from the Lin family for this. I won't let Xiaoji suffer like this anymore. Liu Ruyan gave an imperceptible smirk. It's getting late. Let me take care of Xiaoji. You should come back tomorrow morning. Li Qin said anxiously, How could I do that? Liu Ruyan explained, Otherwise Uncle will surely scold Xiaoji. Coming home only to cause more trouble for the family. You wouldn't want the first thing he does when he wakes up to be drowning in guilt, would you? Li Qin nodded, seeing the logic in it. Then I'll come back tomorrow morning. It felt as if someone was sitting motionless beside me. The weight of their silhouette pressed down on the chair. A hand was raised wearing a bracelet. That's what I saw through the haze of my coma. As soon as I woke up, I realized it was Liu Ruyan. Cold sweat immediately drenched my back. I instinctively shrunk away. Liu Ruyan caught this small movement. She laughed coldly. Didn't you used to say you loved me? Are you starting to fear me now? I remained silent. How could I possibly have the courage to love a woman who constantly cursed me to suffer every kind of torture? This time, I will never recklessly run back to her side. Liu Ruyan spoke up casually, getting pushed into the sea without even fighting back. When did you become such a coward? I tried to steady my nerves. I recalled the night before, being taken to the beach, being brutally pushed into the water by a mob led by Jiang Chen, being hit by the freezing wind on the way back. Despite the hot bath, I still caught a cold and a high fever. As for how I was brought down the mountain, I had absolutely no memory of it. I never expected it would be Liu Ruyan who brought me down. This was a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence. It was so rare for her to do something like this. But I no longer needed it. I said hoarsely, Ms. Liu, you were the one who brought me here, right? Thank you. Liu Ruyan put on a face as if she was just meddling. She said, No need to thank me. Yes, Shui begged me to do it. Aunt Li Qin already knows what happened too. She will help you break off the engagement with the Lin family. You don't have to keep playing the submissive servant to Lin Yufei. Hearing that, I jolted up in shock. I didn't cry when I was submerged in the ocean. I didn't cry when I was treated like a servant to be ordered around. I accepted all the humiliations thrown my way. But at this very moment, tears began to fall. No, I can't break off the engagement. Liu Ruyan frowned. Do you love being humiliated that much? I shook my head repeatedly. I just kept repeating that the engagement couldn't be broken. If this engagement is called off, I'll be cast back into that bottomless black hole, back into that dark, murky abyss. I don't want to break the engagement. Absolutely not. Seeing this, Liu Ruyan asked, Why? Don't tell me you've actually fallen for Lin Yufei. It was just a throwaway comment from Liu Ruyan, but I nodded through my tears. Yes, I like her. That's why I don't want to cancel the wedding. Liu Ruyan's face darkened instantly. It felt as if she had just been dealt a heavy blow. In the past, other than her, I had never confessed my love to anyone else. It only met Lin Yufei a handful of times, and I was already talking about liking her. What happened to the vows I once made? Promised to only ever love Liu Ruyan. Liu Ruyan stood up abruptly. Her face was so dark she looked ready to explode. She didn't even know what she was so angry about. She couldn't help but blurt out, It turns out you really are a masochist. Regardless of what was said, this marriage was definitely not going to happen. That same day, Mother Li Qin turned against the Lin family and demanded that Lin Yufei apologize in person. I was brought back home. I hid away in my room. I could still hear the arguments between Mother Li Qin and Father Ye. Father Ye was more than a little irritated. He stormed upstairs in a rage and slammed the door hard. He truly couldn't think of anyone else willing to marry me. While Father Ye was in his fury, a work call came through. It was his assistant, Yang Qian. After a moment of pensive thought, a suitable candidate came to Father Ye's mind. It had been a week since we left the mountain villa. Yu Shu had been hiding out at Liu Ruyan's place for a few days. Liu Ruyan was busy, handling the year-end project budget settlements. It was only then that she returned to the branch office. The elevator stopped at every single floor. Liu Ruyan stood with her hands at her sides, watching the doors slowly open. The first thing she saw was me smiling, but that smile wasn't for her. It was for assistant Yang Qin. Yang Qin was Father Ye's most capable assistant. She had worked at the Yi Corporation for years. She and I had known each other since very early on. Liu Ruyan had once seen me giving Yang Qin a gift with her own eyes. Under the dim moonlight, Yang Qin had blushed and said, "My birthday." "You actually remembered." Liu Ruyan's gaze darkened instantly. Right now, Yang Qian held the elevator door open. With a smile that didn't reach her eyes, she asked, "Aren't you coming in?" I huddled in a corner. Being hidden by Yang Qian, I didn't look at Liu Ruyan even once. The person standing right next to me was now Yang Qian. Entering the elevator, Liu Ruyan's assistant started talking. Thoughts were cut off by a surprised cry. "Master Xiaojie." I looked over timidly and met Assistant Huang's eyes. Back when I was chasing Liu Ruyan, I had often asked Assistant Huang to pass on messages or gifts. If it wasn't for my facial features, still carrying a trace of my past self, Assistant Huang probably wouldn't have recognized me. The elevator continued its ascent. We reached the 31st floor. Yang Qian interrupted Assistant Huang. "Xiaojie, this is our stop." I followed closely behind her, like a little shadow attached to someone else. Liu Ruyan watched us until the elevator doors slid shut. Assistant Huang said in astonishment, "Boss Liu, was that really Master Xiaojie? How could he have changed so much?" I almost didn't recognize him. The assistant kept rambling on, making Liu Ruyan snap. "Changed? How? Isn't he still that same wretched soul, desperate to throw himself at any woman he sees? It was Lin Yufei, and now it's Yang Qian. Only toward her did he show no regret. And who does Yang Qian think she is? Does she think she can actually compete with me? How ridiculous." Assistant Huang sighed. He added, "His appearance has definitely changed a lot. But the strangest part is that he didn't even speak to you, boss. He used to be so infatuated with you. He followed you wherever you went. What on earth happened to him today?" Liu Ruyan's face clouded over. She said, "I don't need it. A suitor who is both foolish and lacks boundaries is of no use to me whatsoever." Assistant Huang couldn't help but speak up. "But Master Xiaojie truly and deeply loved you, boss. That was something we could all see." The elevator reached its floor. Liu Ruyan spoke with emphasis. "Liking someone gives you the right to harm others?" She was referring to Xiang Di, the kindest man in the world, unburdened by worldly desires, or any base thoughts. He was so friendly and genuinely good. He had taught that boy how to play the piano, and always treated him like a younger brother. Yet that boy paid criminals to make his dear Xiang Di slip and fall over a waterfall. No matter how pitiful he is, he can't compare to even 1,000th of that man. Assistant Huang rubbed the back of his neck. Then he hurried out after Liu Ruyan. He muttered under his breath, "Boss Liu, I spent a fair amount of time around Master Xiaojie. He just doesn't seem like the type to do such despicable things." Liu Ruyan was buried in work. As her assistant, he had to take good care of her. He had personally seen me waiting for Liu Ruyan to finish work. I would buy the most expensive food at the base of the building to feed stray dogs. How could a man that kind be a murderer? That incident had caused quite a stir in Muzhou. The court was unable to reach a final verdict several times. In the end, rumors said the Yi family hired the country's best lawyers and bribed the two kidnappers to change their testimony. That was the only reason I was saved, but whatever the truth really was, perhaps only those involved truly knew. As soon as I stepped out of the elevator, Yang Qian asked me, "Brother Jie, do you still love Liu Ruyan?" I shook my head slightly. So many people had asked me that already, but my answer remained exactly the same, never wavering. I didn't need to say a word. Just seeing my reaction, Yang Qian felt relieved and said, "CEO Yi has arranged for you to work with me. During this time, if you need anything, just let me know." I nodded back. "All right." Yang Qian had indeed matured significantly. She was no longer the clumsy, shy college graduate that she used to be. She stood before me with an air of complete confidence and grace, making me almost unable to recognize her. Yang Qian looked at me seriously and said, "Brother, I don't want you to be so formal with me." She was speaking from the heart. I could feel it. Yang Qian said with shame, "You helped me so much in the past. I only found out later that when my father was sick, it was you who helped me pay his hospital bills."
But I couldn't do anything to help you.
Choking back tears, I said it was just a small matter. To me, back then. Hospital bills for Yang Qian's father were only worth a few days of my pocket money, but it saved a person's life. Yet Yang Qian's gratitude has lasted until this very day. She insisted on telling me, "If you ever need any help, just come to me directly." I hesitated, wondering if it was really okay. I have endured so much suffering. I have been through too many deceitful schemes. So I must carefully consider the kindness shown by others. Yang Qian nodded firmly, of course. My face was filled with shame. I softly asked this question. "Does Uncle Yi want you to marry me?" The marriage arrangement with Lin Yufei has been ruined. Father Yi, wanting to resolve this mess, has pushed Yang Qian toward me. It's just not right. I am already stuck in the mud. I shouldn't drag anyone else down with me. As for Lin Yufei, she's a player with other men, even if we married. I would be nothing more than a shield for her. I wouldn't stop her no matter how she wanted to play around. But Yang Qian is a good person. Yang Qian nodded sincerely. "That's right." I whispered, "I'll help you turn down Uncle Yi. Please don't feel awkward about it." Yang Qian blurted out almost instantly, "I don't feel awkward at all. The Yi family branch and Liu Ruyan's branch are located in the same building." Walking through the dark underground parking lot, Liu Ruyan approached while talking on the phone. My silhouette caught her eye. She hung up immediately. Liu Ruyan walked over and asked sarcastically, "Where is Assistant Yang? Did she leave you here all alone?" Liu Ruyan took the initiative to greet me. I became flustered and clumsy. In the past, she rarely initiated a conversation with me. I replied with a smile. She forgot her car keys upstairs. She went up to get them. Liu Ruyan said nonchalantly, "Why are you following Lin Yufei anymore? Stop clinging to her, have you?" Knowing she was mocking me, I still answered, "I've broken off the engagement with the Lin family." Liu Ruyan smirked. "Weren't you screaming before that you didn't want to cancel it?" Before I could even speak, Liu Ruyan's gaze fixed upon my wrist, an exquisite rose gold watch. Liu Ruyan reached out to touch it. She asked, "What is this?" I slapped her hand away before she could touch it. I shielded my possession with intense wariness, but I had once said that I would give Liu Ruyan anything she wanted. Yet in the blink of an eye, I wouldn't even let her touch. "A watch," I said defensively. "Yang Qian gave it to me. It's nothing valuable." Liu Ruyan clenched her fingers. An indescribable bitterness spread through her heart and seeped into her words. "Someone who used to wear gems like you actually covets such a cheap thing." I gripped the rose gold watch tightly. With a firm tone, I said, "To me, this is very precious. Because Yang Qian gave it to me. Yang Qian is the only person willing to marry me. What's truly valuable is her sincere heart. This is what I sought from Liu Ruyan for all those years, but never received. How could I not treasure it?" Liu Ruyan acted as if she had just heard a joke. "I've given you things before, haven't I? Why didn't I see you cherish them like this?" "What things?" "Was it on my birthday, when she threw that model at me like it was trash? I later found out it was just something the Liu family's nanny didn't want anymore. We went our separate ways amidst a heavy atmosphere. Glass after glass of wine was downed. Yishu couldn't bear to watch any longer. She snatched the glass from Liu Ruyan's hand. She asked, "Who upset you? Why are you drinking so much?" Liu Ruyan's eyes were hazy. The last image lingering in her mind was the sight of me smiling as I got into Yang Qian's car and drove away. It seemed that since my return, I had never truly smiled. If I did, it was only a forced expression. I was truly different with Yang Qian. Liu Ruyan said coldly, "Mother Yi. This time she's planning to have Yang Qian marry Yi Xiaoji." These words were dropped like a heavy bombshell, leaving Yi Shu stunned. She hadn't been home for many days. How could she have known about this? Yang Qian? How is that even possible? Liu Ruyan said, "I saw them together." Ye Shui regained her composure and said, "Actually, it makes sense. Without Lin Yufei, they need someone else to take on this mess. Yang Qian is truly pitiful. To be forced to marry a piece of trash that nobody wants." Liu Ruyan sneered. "Yang Qian doesn't look forced at all," Ye Shui realized. "Then it must be because she probably liked Ye Xiaojie from the beginning." Liu Ruyan's expression darkened. Yeshua, didn't you know? It seems you really never cared about her before. Yang Qian comes from a broken home, from a poor background. Raised by her father alone, she joined the Ye group and worked extremely hard. Only then did she become Father Ye's assistant. She is the most capable assistant by Father Ye's side.
And also the youngest.
She often does the menial tasks that others look down on. One of those was being responsible for picking me up and dropping me off. It's only natural that feelings developed over time. Yang Xian is someone starved of affection. It's normal for her to like someone as lively and enthusiastic as I was. Liu Ruyan loathes me, but not everyone is like her. When Yang Xian and I are together, it feels very gentle and comfortable. She is polite, gentle, and thoughtful, picking me up for work every day, always asking after me with kindness. We were just one step away from the end. Li Jin and Father Yi were also very satisfied. News traveled through Yi Zhu's mouth and reached Liu Ruyan's ears, only increasing the frustration within her.
Driving past the company branch.
A light was still burning on the 31st floor. Lately, I have been working here alongside Yang Qian. I studied business administration back in college. I was arranged to work at the family conglomerate early on. My business sense is much sharper than Yi Shue's. My personal passion is playing the piano. I held a piano recital at the age of 15. Looking back at the first half of my life, it was truly glorious and brilliant, if it were before. Never mind Yang Qian, even upstarts like Lin Yufei, from that small-time family. They wouldn't have been able to touch a single hair on my head. Liu Ruyan stood outside the Yi branch office. From that angle, she could see the scene in the break room.
I had personally prepared and brought a late-night snack.
Each dish was meticulously prepared, set out before Yang Qian, sharing it with her under the warm light. My smile remained purely innocent. It was a smile from the depths of my heart. I don't know what Yang Qian said. I held my glass, eyes downcast with a smile. My face had regained some color and looked more alive. I truly put more heart into Yang Qian than I ever did for Liu Ruyan. Yang Qian's eyes were filled with pity. You don't need to. Go into the kitchen yourself. I can just eat anything. Your hands weren't meant for this kind of work. You should be spending your time playing the piano. Your talent and natural gift are among the best, no matter where you are.
You shouldn't waste your life like this.
I slowly shook my head. It's been so many years since I touched one. My skills have long since faded. My hands are all callous now, and they've been soaked in cheap dishwater for far too long. They're no longer fit to touch such luxury instruments. There was also a time I couldn't stand the heat. I broke a plate at a diner and was brutally beaten by my biological father, whipped with electrical wires, then kicked to the ground. Since then, I've etched it into my heart. I learned what pain really was. Afterwards, no matter how hot the soup tray was, I could grit my teeth and carry it anyway. Now, just cooking a few dishes is considered a kind of happiness. Yang Xian placed her hand over mine.
She didn't look down on my scarred hands at all.
She gently comforted me. How could that be? You've been helping me check the ledgers these past few days. Haven't you done a great job? Turns out there's still someone who thinks him good. My eyes welled up with tears. My birth father called me trash. My adoptive parents abandoned me. Person after person warned me not to make any more mistakes. Only Yang Qian praised me. I intended to thank Yang Qian, but suddenly her gaze stopped at my wrist. What is this? I hurriedly covered it, but Yang Qian had already seen it. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Her expression became much more serious. I made up an excuse. I just accidentally scraped it.
Yang Xian was no fool.
If that's the case, why is there a scar? And such a deep scar at that. I avoided the question, standing up to say, it's getting late. I should head back now. Yang Xian didn't push further. Wait a moment, I'll drive you back. I was just about to refuse, but Yang Xian cut me off. Director Yi asked me to head over there. We're going the same way. In the car, my face occasionally showed signs of pain and inner turmoil. Then it would soften. But it all happened in a fleeting moment. The scar on my wrist was indeed from when I cut myself. It's an experience not worth remembering at all. Debt collectors came to the house, and my birth father fled in his car. He locked me inside the car to draw their attention.
Unexpectedly, those people weren't distracted at all.
I was left trapped inside that car. There was absolutely nothing inside. The doors were locked, and for nearly 3 days, not a single drop of water touched my lips. The only thing in the car was a small utility knife. The blade was very thin, completely unable to break the glass or pick the lock. When it felt like I was about to die of thirst, I slashed my own wrist with the blade. Blood began to pour out. I pressed my mouth to the wound, letting the blood wet my parched lips. That sweet, metallic taste, mixed with the ultimate agony, and the smell of stagnant air in the car. It's the nightmare that haunts me for life. After walking me upstairs, Yang Qian turned and entered Father Ye's study.
Father Ye glanced up, then returned to his unfinished work. His voice sounded relaxed, like a casual conversation. He didn't notice Yang Qian's serious expression at all. "Xiao Jie, you're back?" Yang Qian replied. I saw him head to his room. Father Ye nodded with satisfaction. Xiao Jie may no longer be a Ye, but he's still like half a son to this family. Marrying him, you won't be at a disadvantage. Yang Qian hesitated, "Sir. Interacting with him lately, I've noticed something unusual. These past few years, I'm afraid he hasn't lived as well as you might think." Father Ye paused. "What do you mean by that?" Yang Qian said, "He has many scars on his body. When he sleeps in the car, he often talks in his sleep. Sometimes he even sobs unconsciously." Yang Qian was both suspicious and very perceptive. Whenever there was a conflict with others, my first reaction was always to apologize, even when it wasn't my fault. Father Yi said indifferently, "That's not a big deal. He should fix that arrogant temperament of his anyway. Learning self-restraint is a good thing." Yang Qian made up her mind to reveal everything she had witnessed that day. There was also a time I went out to eat with him. At the restaurant, we met a woman. Father Yi closed the file in front of him. He waved his hand. "If it's nothing major, then don't bother telling me." Yang Qian feared Father Yi didn't fully grasp the situation. She hurriedly added one more thing. That woman grabbed him and insisted that he used to work at a guest house, and not a very clean one at that. Yang Qian had arranged the car interior to be very comfortable. This car was originally meant for driving me around. Cushion was placed behind the passenger seat. No matter how long I sat, I never felt tired. Yang Qian drove very steadily. Being by her side always made me feel at peace. I hugged my knees, sitting in a somewhat shy posture. I slowly asked, "Where are we going?" Yang Qian was truly a proper lady. Every word and action of hers was gentle and respectful toward me. She spoke softly. "We're almost there." Following Yang Qian into the Yun Piao Villa. This place was like any other resort, all newly built in recent years, somewhere I had never set foot before. It was exceptionally quiet and elegant. The upper floors were a Korean-style hotel, complete with hot spring baths upstairs. She wanted to know just how many scars were on my body. So this was the only way. If Yang Qian thought of it, then I could guess it too. Standing at the entrance, the heat hit my face. Insecurity was written all over my face. I didn't reach out for the key from Yang Qian. Instead, I asked softly, "Can I skip the hot springs? I'm feeling a bit unwell." Yang Qian smiled gently. "I'm not going in there with you. I'll be waiting in the next room. No need to be shy. Director Yi was worried you've been too tired lately, so he specifically asked me to bring you here." A few simple sentences dispelled my anxiety, even though I still felt a bit awkward. I had no reason to refuse. I took the key and entered the men's locker room. Taking off the clothes I was wearing, in the hot spring pool, steam rose thickly, blurring my vision. I stepped down the warm stone stairs into the water. But before I could even close my eyes, the surface of the pool began to ripple. Suddenly, a man's voice rang out beside me. "Xiao Jie!" I startled and snapped my eyes open. A handsome but sharp face appeared before me. The face was hazy through the hot steam of the pool. My natural instinct was to flee immediately. Facing an old acquaintance in this situation, my pathetic state would only invite ridicule. But in a place like this, there was nowhere to hide. I could only call out his name sadly, Xiaohu. Tang Xiaohu was visibly delighted. "You're really back." Xiaoji, Ruyan, told me, but I still couldn't believe it. I remained silent, keeping my head down as I swam. Steam from the water's surface flushed my face. The heat seeped into my bones, making me restless. The only thought in my mind was to escape. "I'm heading out first." Tang Xiaohu caught my arm. "Don't. Did you come here alone? Let's grab dinner together later. Ruyan will be there too, though she might take a while to get here. You know how it is. She's been very busy lately." I wanted to leave, but he tightened his grip on my arm. I frowned. "I'm sorry. I really have to go upstairs." I brushed Tang Xiaohu's hand away, stood up and walked up the steps. Tang Xiaohu followed close behind. Just as I entered the locker room, suddenly a forceful push came from behind, sending me sprawling forward. Tang Xiaohu let out a cry of feigned alarm behind me. He pretended to help me up. "Xiaojie, are you okay? Are you hurt?" My knees hit the floor, turning a large patch bright red. But I just said, "I'm fine." I grabbed my clothes and went into a private stall to change. Tang Xiaohu and I were once considered good brothers.
Whenever he wanted to perform, I would specially carve out a slot in my piano concerts to give him a chance to show off. He wanted to enter high society. I always brought him along.
Whatever you wanted, I gave it to him willingly. However, after I was cast out and went to him for help, he found every reason to brush me off. The cold reality of life is clearest when you hit rock bottom. I was standing by the locker room door about to change my shirt when the curtain was suddenly ripped open. Tang Xiaohu stood at the door, stunned into silence. He seemed to want to say something, but then kept quiet. In the bright but cramped locker room, the first thing Tang Xiaohu saw was my back. My back was once so fair and smooth, but now, that back was now crisscrossed with scars. Brown ones, red ones, even lumpy scars that looked like cracks in fine jade. It looked terrifying. I snapped out of it and hurriedly pulled the curtain shut. My hands trembled uncontrollably as I dressed. Tears flowed freely, impossible to hold back. I had hidden it all so carefully, and yet my entire past 5 years were laid bare before him. Every bit of pain was etched onto this back. What should I do now? I walked out feeling restless, intending to explain things to Tang Xiaohu, but he was already gone from the locker room. It was late at night when Liu Ruyan arrived at Yun Piao Villa. This place was actually a property owned by the Liu family. She was the largest shareholder here. This trip was essentially an inspection. Just as she stepped out of the elevator, Tang Xiaohu was already waiting there. He waved and called out, "Ruyan!" A flash of irritation crossed her brow. Liu Ruyan ignored him and strode forward. Tang Xiaohu seemed to have learned my old habit of clinging. He followed her closely. He said to Liu Ruyan, "I knew you'd be here at this hour. You haven't eaten yet, right? The restaurant downstairs still has tables." Liu Ruyan frowned. "Get out of my way!" Tang Xiaohu gave a slight chuckle, dodging from her right to her left, softly asking, "Shall we go?" Liu Ruyan acted like she heard nothing. Tang Xiaohu continued, "Oh, by the way, I also happened to run into Xiao Jie." Tang Xiaohu closely watched every slight change on Liu Ruyan's face. She kept a calm expression as if nothing had happened, strangely calm, a completely nonchalant look. But deep down, there must have been some disturbance. After walking a few more steps, Liu Ruyan asked, "Why is he here?" Tang Xiaohu smiled. But there was no kindness in that smile. He said, "Why do you talk about him like that? He seems to have changed a lot this time, but that arrogance of his still hasn't been fixed." I took the initiative to talk, but he didn't even bother to acknowledge me. These words were grating to the ear no matter how you heard them. Liu Ruyan said coldly, "I don't care about you either. Does that make me arrogant too?" The smile on Tang Xiaohu's face froze instantly. He quickly tried to save face. "You and he are nothing alike. He's no longer the young master of the Yi family. Without that title, he's worth nothing now." As they approached the door, Tang Xiaohu added another thing. "And did you know? Just now in the locker room, I accidentally saw Xiao Jie changing. His entire back was covered in scars. I wonder what kind of dirty things he's been doing out there these past few years." Liu Ruyan just thought Tang Xiaohu was joking. "What scars are you talking about?" No matter what, he was still protected by Mother Yi, Li Jin, when he was kicked out. Li Jin often told Father Yi to go visit him. How could he have been beaten? Tang Xiaohu was taken aback. "It's true. I saw it with my own eyes. Why would I lie to you? Nothing but scars. It looks terrible." Meanwhile, at the restaurant, I didn't even bother to pick up my chopsticks. Ever since Tang Xiaohu saw my back, I've been feeling restless and anxious. It wasn't until Yang Qian called my name several times that I snapped out of it. I quickly stuffed a bite of food into my mouth. Yang Qian smiled faintly, looking at me with eyes full of pity. She had someone keep watch at the hot spring area, and had accidentally seen me while I was changing. One didn't need to look too closely. The scars all over my body were plainly visible from any angle. They were the marks of the hardship I had endured. The thing was far worse than they had imagined. Yang Qian said pityingly, "Xiao Jie, it's all in the past now. Mother Yi loves you very much. You'll still be the young master of the Yi family in the future." She stated that herself. I held my cutlery and gently shook my head. Mother Yi does love me, but I'm not her biological son. Through the days spent by my side, Yang Qian could clearly feel my melancholy and bitterness. She was prepared to stay by my side and soothe my pain for a long time. These words accidentally reached Liu Ruyan, who was standing nearby. Tang Xiaohu was standing right next to her. He took the opportunity to link his arm with Liu Ruyan's, then waved toward my table. "Xiao Jie." Yang Qian turned her head to look. She accidentally caught Liu Ruyan's profound gaze. Liu Ruyen looked over with an extremely complicated expression, but then she was dragged away by Tang Xiaohu. He said, "So you came here with Assistant Yang. No wonder people are gossiping so much." "All right, this is such a nuisance. Didn't you want to go eat something?" Tang Xiaohu lowered his voice. "How about we just sit at the same table as Xiao Ji?" Tang Xiaohu asked as he naturally sat down. "We're not bothering you two by sitting here, are we?" His eyes kept darting back and forth between me and Yang Qin. The ambiguous atmosphere between us seemed ready to ignite. It was too late to say it was a bother by then. Tang Xiaohu sat down right next to me. He glanced at my plate and asked, "Xiao Ji, why are you eating so little? You never used to worry about your weight." Yang Qin knew well that Xiao Ji's personality had changed significantly. I wouldn't want to associate with someone like Tang Xiaohu anymore. She took the initiative to explain for me that I wasn't on a diet. "He hasn't had much of an appetite lately. His appetite is a bit poor. Mr. Tang, if you'd like, feel free to order another portion." Tang Xiaohu picked up the menu. It looked like he was ordering food, but in reality, he was stabbing a knife into my heart. "Ruyen, what would you like to eat? I remember you really like sweet and sour ribs, don't you? But the person here who knows you best is definitely Xiao Jie." He closed the menu. Tang Xiaohu rested his chin on his hand and asked casually, "Xiao Jie, what do you think?" Liu Ruyen didn't step in to help at all. I nervously curled my fingertips. Everyone's eyes were fixed on me. Among them, Liu Ruyen's gaze was the most intense. It was as if she was desperate for an answer. The standoff lasted for a long time. Yang Qian wanted to answer for me, but I looked up and said I didn't remember. "I'm about to marry Yang Qian. I shouldn't hesitate on matters like this." Tang Xiaohu pressed further. "You don't remember? How is that possible? Didn't you always remember everything about Ruyen, even more clearly than your own birthday?" "Huh?" As he spoke, he laughed out loud with delight. Yang Qian frowned and said, "Mr. Tang, if you're not here to eat, then please stop bothering us." Tang Xiaohu's expression soured. Then he teased again, "What's wrong?" "It's just a joke. Xiao Ji, your fiancé, is a bit petty. He could say whatever he wanted about me, but he absolutely must not ridicule Yang Qian." I said firmly, "She's not petty at all. She is a very good person." As soon as I finished speaking, Liu Ruyen, who had been silent, hissed through her teeth. She gave a cold laugh and suddenly stood up, kicking her chair away. Before leaving, she left a sarcastic remark, "Mr. Yi, you certainly have a short memory for the past. If I remember correctly, back when you were pursuing me, I never once heard you say 'very good' so sincerely. It seems I'm not even equal to a Yang Qian now." At the dinner table that day, I drank the glass of orange juice Tang Xiaohu gave me. Right after returning to my room, a large area on my neck and arms broke out in tiny red rashes. I was never allergic to oranges, but this itch was unbearable. I scratched until my skin was red. Bloody streaks began to appear. Not wanting to bother Yang Qian, I went downstairs to find anti-itch medicine. I asked the staff at the Piaoyun Villa. The person looked awkward and said they might not have that medicine on hand. "Please wait a moment, sir." I nodded and sat on a nearby chair. My neck was scratched so much it was bleeding and bruised. After waiting over 20 minutes, no one had returned. I anxiously clawed at my skin. Blood began to soak through my thin shirt. When Liu Ruyen came downstairs, the red spots on my body had spread all the way to my chin. People around me were looking at me with very strange looks. I myself was completely unaware. Seeing someone approach, I smiled and looked up. But it wasn't the staff member with the medicine. It was Liu Ruyen. Liu Ruyen frowned and asked, "What happened to your face?" I touched my face. "It's nothing," I said softly. "It'll be fine after I take some allergy medicine." Liu Ruyen exclaimed, "You ate pineapple, didn't you?" I have always been allergic to pineapple. When I was young, I accidentally ate it once. Rashes broke out all over my face and I scratched some spots raw. At that time, I thought I'd be disfigured. So I locked myself under the covers, refusing to see anyone. Yishu had called Liu Ruyen over to comfort me. Covering my face, I sobbed, "I'm so ugly now. You definitely won't like me anymore." That time, through the thin blanket, Liu Ruyen had smiled gently. She laughed at my naivety and silliness. My gaze suddenly went blank. I didn't expect Liu Ruyen to still remember my pineapple allergy. Just then, the staff member rushed over. Apologetically, he said, "Sir, I am truly sorry. There's no anti-itch or allergy medicine left in the storage." Liu Ruyen's aura suddenly became overbearing. Her eyes were full of threats. Just as she was about to lash out, I suddenly grabbed her sleeve.
It's okay, I said gently. I can just go buy it myself. If you go yourself, you won't find any until morning. Liu Ruyan spat out sarcastically. Where's Yang Qian? Doesn't she treat you so well? Why doesn't she take you to see a doctor? I glanced briefly at Liu Ruyan.
Then I silently walked past her. I didn't utter a single word in response. Liu Ruyan hurried after me. She grabbed my arm and said, "Let me take you." She dragged me along and pushed me into the car. I reached up to scratch my chin. Liu Ruyan held my hand tightly. "Don't scratch anymore. Do you really want to be disfigured?" Her hand was ice cold. While my hand was burning hot, the temperature difference felt like a burn. I hurriedly pulled my hand back. Liu Ruyan's palm was suddenly empty. A small bit of warmth vanished from her fingertips. It left a feeling of lingering regret. Having changed into a bathrobe and holding a bottle of imported wine, Tang Xiaohu stood at Liu Ruyan's door and rang the bell. No one came to open the door from inside. After waiting for nearly an hour, Liu Ruyan finally returned, but there was someone else by her side. Tang Xiaohu stepped forward, wanting to take Liu Ruyan's hand to assert his dominance. Liu Ruyan brushed his hand away, making him miss. Liu Ruyan brushed past Tang Xiaohu to open the door. He hunched over and slunk in under her arm. This was a move I had used many times before. Now someone else had learned it. I stood there calmly. "Miss, I'll be heading back now." Without waiting for Liu Ruyan to respond, I gave a small wave and walked straight away. My silhouette looked so thin and lonely. Liu Ruyan silently gripped the doorknob. She felt a bit irritated by my lifeless, sluggish appearance. But it was she herself who had driven me away. In the room, Tang Xiaohu wore nothing but a white bathrobe. He was confident that this move was extremely effective with women. But when she saw him, Liu Ruyan thought of me sitting in the car, silently applying medicine under the dim lights. I had turned my face slightly. One shoulder was exposed to the cold air. In the hazy light, my shoulder looked so gaunt. It seemed to be nothing but skin and bones. On that skin that should have been fair, there were crisscrossing dark brown scars. It looked very much like a painting Liu Ruyan once bought. I once remarked that the man in the painting was beautiful, but hollow. I only hoped that wouldn't be a vase for people to admire. Yet I myself had actually become exactly like the person in the painting. As if I would shatter with just a light touch. Compared to Tang Xiaohu's fake flattering manner, it was infinitely better. Liu Ruyan tried to suppress the nausea in her stomach. She shouted, "Get out of here right now. Don't make me say it twice." Tang Xiaohu leaned against the bar and said coldly, "Fine, in leaving. When I go out, I'll tell everyone that you and Yi Xiaoji have a shady relationship, sneaking around in the dead of night." Liu Ruyan slowly approached him. The moment she pinned Tang Xiaohu down, her face was completely expressionless. Tang Xiaohu's throat was instantly constricted. A whisper like it came from hell echoed in his ear. "If you want to announce it to everyone, I can certainly help you with that. There's no need to bother him. She is Liu Ruyan, the only daughter of the Liu family. When faced with a threat, the most direct way is to smash those chains." Tang Xiaohu panicked and slapped at Liu Ruyan's hand. He gasped, begging for his life. He was now like an ant in her hand. If she were to crush him to death, she would only fear dirtying her own hands. Liu Ruyan swung her hand forcefully. Tang Xiaohu was thrown onto the floor. He lay on the ground, coughing uncontrollably, yet he still gave a bitter, cold laugh. "Is that how you treated Yi Xiaoji back then, too? Poor guy for his devoted heart toward you. During that kidnapping, he was abandoned by his own sister and the woman he loved. He barely made it back alive. Yet he was still treated like a criminal. That day he came to beg you, and you treated him just like this, didn't you? During the kidnapping, the culprit demanded they choose one of the two. Liu Ruyan and Yi Shua both chose Shang Di without hesitation, cruelly discarding me. No one understood how it felt being locked in that dark basement, hearing the person closest to me give up on my life with their own mouth. Agonizing pain that pierced through my soul. Liu Ruyan picked up a glass of wine from the bar. She splashed it straight into Tang Xiaohu's face. With a dark expression, she said, "If you don't want to die, get out right now." Tang Xiaohu was truly terrified. He hurriedly picked up his bathrobe and threw it on. Then he fled as if his life depended on it. Liu Ruyan's heart was filled with restless agitation. She picked up a glass and downed it in one gulp. Memories of that day came flooding back. Faced with a brutal choice between the two, she had assumed that since Yi Shui was his sister, she would surely choose Xiaojie no matter what. But ironically, Yi Shui had thought the exact same thing. And so, that misunderstanding led to a catastrophic outcome. Strong wine couldn't calm her heart. On the contrary, a fire seemed to be erupting inside her.
Liu Ruyan hurriedly unbuttoned her collar, but the heat in her chest didn't subside. Instead, it grew more intense by the second. The doorbell rang incessantly, pounding against my eardrums. As soon as the door opened,
A blast of scorching air hit me right in the face.
I stood frozen outside, not daring to step in. I asked tentatively, "Mr. Tang said you were looking for me." She suddenly grabbed my hand. I was dragged inside. My back slammed hard against the wall. After a moment of dizziness, Liu Ruyan's deep pupils met my eyes. Her breathing was incredibly heavy. The rims of her eyes were red as if they were on fire. She pressed closer to me step by step. Just as she was about to kiss my face, she tried to restrain herself, shaking her head to stay conscious. Liu Ruyan's hot lips lightly brushed mine. She uttered every word clearly. "Who gave you permission to come here? Get out of here right now." I truly didn't understand what was happening anymore.
Why had Liu Ruyan become like this? And why had Tang Xiaohu tricked me into coming here?
My mind was completely hazy. I asked tentatively, "What's wrong with you?" Before I could finish, Liu Ruyan lowered her head and gripped my chin tightly. I tasted the bitter sweetness of red wine. Suddenly, I realized something. I had taken this kind of drug before. I knew exactly how uncomfortable it made one feel. No wonder Liu Ruyan was acting so recklessly. She just wanted to find a way to vent it all out right now. She no longer cared who the other person was. Taking advantage of her grip loosening slightly, I hurriedly dodged to the side. Losing her support, Liu Ruyan collapsed to the ground. Her usually elegant face now showed only urgency and exhaustion.
While she was worn out, I rushed into the bathroom and filled the tub with cold water.
If this continued, something bad would definitely happen. I couldn't just leave her like this. Otherwise, Liu Ruyan's life would be in danger. The water gushed into the bathtub. It was freezing cold without a hint of warmth. I helped Liu Ruyan toward the bathtub. She was drifting in and out of consciousness. In her vacant eyes was the reflection of my messy hair, and my face red with worry. But my gaze was now cold and still, as if covered in frost when I placed her into the water. Liu Ruyan suddenly pulled me hard. I struggled in the water trying to escape. Water flooded my mouth and nose, making me choke. I coughed repeatedly in pain.
My limbs were stuck against the slippery side of the tub. All my clothes were completely soaked.
Liu Ruyan's clothes clung to my skin. That scorching heat seemed to have spread to me as well. But I still tried to hold on to my last bit of sanity. I knew very well that this wasn't allowed. But it was too late. My collar had been torn open. Hot hands and ice-cold water touched my skin at the same time. Several passionate kisses were left on my collar. I couldn't stop my tears from falling. Just as I was about to give up on struggling, the doorbell suddenly rang incessantly. I hurriedly looked toward the door. My limbs started moving frantically again. Liu Ruyan bit down hard on my shoulder. A sharp pain immediately shot through me.
The door seemed to have been opened by someone.
Heavy footsteps were rushing in. I was still pinned down in the water, flailing my limbs wildly to call for help. Assistant Huang froze in fear the moment he walked in. He was about to turn away when he realized something was wrong. "Mr. Yi, is that you?" The arm waved a few times. Realizing things were far from normal, Assistant Huang rushed over to pull me out of the bathtub. My clothes were completely drenched. Water droplets kept falling from my hair onto the floor. Assistant Huang was so terrified his face went pale. He hurriedly took off his coat and gave me. He turned his back, voice panicked. "Mr. Ye, are you okay?" Gasping for air, I replied, "I'm fine. Go check on Liu Ruyan quickly."
I hurriedly adjusted my clothes, not daring to linger for even a single second. I ran outside as fast as I could. I returned to my room, soaked from head to toe. That panicked appearance didn't escape Tang Xiaohu's eyes. After that, it was as if this incident never happened. I didn't say a word to anyone. Liu Ruyan left Yungpiao Villa that very night. A few days later, Yang Qian suddenly received orders to go on a business trip. That was just an excuse on the surface. Only Father Yi understood the real situation. Yang Qian was actually instigating exactly what had happened to me over the past 3 years. Without Yang Qian by my side, I was frequently subjected to cruel insults. Seeing how timid and shy I always was, even the house servants began to treat me poorly. Li Qin scolded them countless times, but I remained just as weak and submissive. It's okay, being like this is good enough. I truly didn't dare to dream of anything else. What they said wasn't wrong at all. I no longer carry the Yi family name. So what right do I have to be treated like the eldest young master? Whenever I was in the situation, Mother Yi would always shed silent tears for me. I wanted to comfort her, but the words were stuck in my throat. "Mother, I'm really fine." Li Qin forced a painful smile. Before she could say another word, Yu Shu returned home, fuming with rage.
She stormed straight into the house. Then she grabbed my collar with one hand.
Cursing me for no reason. Don't you find yourself disgusting?
I was pushed down onto the floor. Old wounds on my knees hadn't healed, yet new ones were added. I was in too much pain to get back up. My heart was filled with endless resentment. Li Qin rushed over to protect me. Yishu, what on earth are you doing? Yishu's gaze was cold and emotionless, but deep inside was a towering fire of anger. Yi Xiaojia, I thought you'd learn to repent. It turns out you're just a great actor. Even I was almost fooled by you. Yishu, what are you even talking about? Not only was Li Qin confused, but even I didn't understand what she was implying. Yishu sneered, Mother, why don't you ask your precious son about the terrible things he's done?
Bewildered, I lowered my head. I didn't do anything. Yeshu cut me off rudely. You drugged Liu Ruyan, scheming to get into her bed. Are you going to claim you didn't do this too? Yeshu's voice was loud and lacked any respect. All the servants around heard everything. They all curled their lips and walked away. They'll definitely be hiding in some corner later calling me trash. Clearly, I was the one who saved Liu Ruyan's life. Why was I now the person who drugged her? Li Qin pulled my hand and asked urgently, Xiaojie, you didn't do it, did you? I bit my lip to stop the tears from flowing. For the first time in a long while, I defended myself. It's not like that. I really didn't do it, Sister Yeshu. Truly didn't do it. Yeshu was in a rage. The veins on her forehead were bulging. Who wants to be a sister to someone like you? Ruyan confirmed it herself. Even Tang Xiaohu saw it with his own eyes. You're at your end and still won't repent? Get out. Don't ever dream of staying in this house again, or I'll definitely find a way to take your life myself. So you can go down there and apologize to Shang this soul. Right in front of Li Qin. Yushu seemed to have completely lost her composure. Inside Liu Ruyan's private residence, I stood there, my heart full of anxiety. It was only after dozens of minutes that I dared to step inside. This place was unusually dark and quiet. A garden of brilliant roses grew in the yard. This place used to be a hibiscus garden. But just because Shang Di said he loved roses most, since then, all the hibiscus were removed and replaced with roses. Now, Liu Ruyan was no longer crazed from being drugged like the other day. She looked as if she had become a completely different person. With a gloomy expression, she asked, What do you want? Where's Yang Qian? Why isn't she with you? I tried to calm my racing heart. I asked her, I just want to know why you told everyone that I was the one who drugged you. Liu Ruyan leaned casually against the windowsill. She replied coldly, That's just their own assumption. I never actually said that myself. I pleaded, Then could you please explain for me? I really don't want Mother Yi to misunderstand me. Liu Ruyan gave a sarcastic sneer. Why should I help you? Have you forgotten already? From the beginning, my goal was to torment you. Right, how could I ever forget that? That hibiscus garden was once to remember Shang Di, and I was the one who indirectly killed him. Liu Ruyan hadn't even shown her most ruthless side yet. If she truly acted, how could I possibly have any way to survive? I was indeed too naive to come here and beg her for a correction. It was truly because I was too impulsive. I didn't beg anymore and turned to leave. Suddenly Liu Ruyan called out, You want me to explain? Fine. I looked at her, stunned. Liu Ruyan said coldly, If you want to prove your innocence, then immediately break off your engagement with Yang Qian. There is absolutely no room for negotiation on this. Liu Ruyan always keeps her word. Now choose between the two. Which side will you choose? I had moved out of the Yi family home. Yishu was the one who felt most satisfied about this. Who knows what was on Liu Ruyan's mind? She just remained silent, not saying a word. Between the two choices, I decisively chose Yang Qian. Between someone I could rely on long-term and someone temporary, I knew very clearly who I should choose. Liu Ruyan asked where he was now. Yishu sneered, where else could he go besides that place? No background, no status, and not a penny to his name. Yang Qian isn't there, and he can't even show his face at the company. But I have to admit, he's quite resilient. But resilience is useless when your stomach is empty. Li Qin actually offered me money, but I adamantly refused to take even a single cent. Instead, I silently left all that money behind. With the money I had, I could only rent the cheapest shared room. But no matter what, it was still thousands of times better than a leaky attic or a dark basement. As long as I could still breathe and keep living, I cherished every single moment. Liu Ruyan fell silent for a moment. Then she suddenly said, Isn't Yang Qian already away on a business trip? Find a way to keep her there as long as possible. Yishu asked curiously, Why do that? Liu Ruyan gave a cold laugh. I want to see if, without her around, he'll regret his choice. Once Liu Ruyan personally took action, I truly couldn't make any progress in Muzu. Li Qin really wanted to help me, but she was powerless to do so.
At their next meeting, Yushu sneered and said, "Mother, did you know? Yu Xiaoji can't find a decent job right now. He's had to become a male servant for other families." After learning about this, Li Qin was heartbroken for quite a while, but Father Yi only said coldly, "If others can do it, why can't he? What makes him so high and mighty?" Father and Mother Yi had a heated argument over this. Liu Rian's eyelids twitched slightly. With some surprise, she asked, "Which family is he working for as a servant?" Yushu didn't actually know the full details. She only said she heard he rotates through several houses, rather than having one stable place.
Oh right, Zhang Chen's group still causes trouble for him frequently.
The one who actually drugged Liu Ruyan was Tang Xiaohu, yet I was the one who had to suffer and bear the infamy. Despite this, I didn't utter a single word of complaint, nor did I speak up to defend myself. Just after finishing work and stepping out, I was blocked by Zhang Chen's group. The backpack I was carrying on my shoulder was snatched away by them. Zhang Chen stood arrogantly in front of his race car. With his buddies, he tossed my backpack back and forth. I rushed in to grab it, but before I could touch it, it was thrown elsewhere. I could only stand there in the middle, serving as their amusement. By the time they grew tired of playing, Zhang Chen emptied everything out of my backpack.
Then he ruthlessly drove his car over everything.
My phone was crushed to pieces. Even the loaf of bread for my dinner was covered in mud. I now was no different from a stray dog scavenging through trash for food. Pitifully, I squatted down on the roadside to pick up each item. Just as I reached out to pick up usable phone fragments, a violent foot suddenly kicked them away. The phone piece was kicked far away. My hands were scarred with cracks from the freezing cold. And on top of that, they were covered in more wounds from doing cleaning jobs. Blood seeped through the bandages that I didn't even have time to change. Yet I still had to stand alone in the cold wind, enduring the humiliation. I looked up and caught Liu Rian's gaze.
It felt like I'd just seen a demon coming for my life. At this moment, I just wanted to turn and flee from here as fast as possible. Liu Ruyan looked at me with contempt and asked, "Is this fun for you? Being toyed with like a complete fool, forced to live a wretched life no better than a dog. Where is your precious Yang Qian now?" I reached out to pick up the key nearby, but Liu Ruyan's foot came down hard on my hand. The sole of her shoe ground relentlessly into my flesh. The pain was so agonizing it chilled me to the bone. Liu Ruyan spoke with cold indifference. "Still dreaming of changing your life through marriage? Why don't you look in the mirror and see if you're even worthy?" My palm was pressed firmly against the ground. The key felt as if it were piercing through my skin. My tears fell uncontrollably, like a broken string of pearls. I bit my lip hard, refusing to beg for mercy. Liu Ruyan ground her heel down even harder. She hissed, "I'm asking you one more time. Are you going to call off the engagement or not?" I didn't answer her. Through a blur of tears, I looked up at Liu Ruyan. She was the woman I had yearned for so long, and also the one who had caused me agony all these years. During those 5 years, I had hoped so desperately she would visit me just once. Whenever my wounds throbbed with pain, I would hide away in a dark corner, taking out the protective bracelet she gave me to look at, as if that could somehow ease the pain. Later, in a pool of blood, that bracelet snapped. The tiny beads splattered into the gore. My fingertips were frozen and red. I could only recover 5 or 6 beads. That day, I stood in the middle of a blinding snowstorm on the street, wailing in despair, crying for myself because I had lost the gift she gave me. Everything in the past. Looking back, it all seems so foolish. Sobbing, I said, "I'm the one who caused Xian Di Appa's death. I deserve this retribution. You can do whatever you want to me. I just beg you, don't hurt Yang Qian." Liu Ruyan's foot suddenly lost its strength. Her breath seemed to hitch in her throat. She asked with a jealousy she didn't even recognize herself, "Do you really like her that much? More than you used to like me?" I pulled my hand away. My joints felt as if they had been shattered. I didn't cry out. I had long since forgotten how to ask for mercy. I said, I was too young back then. I didn't understand what true love was. Those words shouldn't be taken seriously. I was the one who once clung to her, swearing it'd never marry anyone else. And now, I am the one saying it wasn't real. How ridiculous and absurd. In the car, Liu Ruyan slowly puffed through 2 cigarettes in a row. She didn't need to say a word. Just sitting beside her was enough to feel the scorching heat of her fury. Seeing her like that, Assistant Huang had something to say, but didn't dare speak up. The car arrived at the private villa. Assistant Huang stammered, "President Liu, the person you asked me to find. I've found him." Liu Ruyen blew out a puff of smoke and asked, "Who?" Assistant Huang swallowed hard. "Sir, it's about 5 or 6 years ago. You mentioned that Xiang Opa had a younger brother who was out of touch. I found him. Do you want to see him? His health isn't very good. He's been living with foster parents all these years. Walking out of the employer's house, my hair was still soaking wet. My body was covered in smears of various paints. Last time Jiang Chen shoved my face into a pallet. This time, he had his lackeys throw paint at me. I wasn't angry. I only felt it was a waste, as these things should have been used for art. Not wasted on someone like me. I walked along, wiping away the stains. Suddenly, a car began following me from behind. The car window rolled down, revealing Assistant Huang's face.
Didn't you say you were working as a servant for some family? How did you end up in this state? I tried to look on the bright side, not letting it bother me at all. With a forced smile, I asked Assistant Huang, "Why are you here?" The car came to a stop. Assistant Huang handed me a spare towel, gesturing for me to get in and clean myself up a bit. I had no intention of getting in the car. I just whispered, "It's fine. It'll be going now." Assistant Huang blocked my path, hesitating. "Well, President Liu told me to bring you over. She has something to discuss with you. The hand she crushed last time still hadn't healed. How is she planning to torment me this time?" I was taken to Liu Ruyan's private villa.
This place again. Last time, this was where I was rejected and humiliated. The upstairs was incredibly quiet. Directly ahead was Liu Ruyan's master bedroom. The door to the front left was open. A soft cough drifted out from inside. I stepped inside slowly. Stopping at the door, the room reeked of herbal medicine. It was the sound of a man's breathing. White curtains swayed gently in the breeze. The man slowly looked up. That face and those eyes. It made me feel like I was seeing Xiang Opa again. A low voice suddenly spoke by my ear. "Don't you love being a servant? Don't you enjoy manual labor?" Liu Ruyan walked up behind me, adjusting her cuffs. A sudden warm breath brushed against the back of my neck. I quickly stepped back to avoid it. But I accidentally locked eyes with her. My panic and awkwardness made Liu Ruyan feel triumphant. Her words became even more heartless. "From now on, you'll come here regularly to take care of Shang Tao. Consider it an opportunity to both atone and earn money." The man's name was Shang Tao. He had a face exactly like Shang Oppa's. His body was naturally very frail. Most of the time, he couldn't even leave his bed. He truly needed someone by his side to care for him. Calling me here, firstly, was because I was suited for it. Secondly, so she could humiliate me. For Liu Ruyan, this was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. But for me, it was just one disaster after another. Jiang Shen's constant aggression had already made my life miserable. Was Liu Ruyan trying to drive me into a corner? It might have looked like she was asking, but it was actually an order, as I couldn't bear the consequences of refusing. My lips turned pale. Liu Ruyan's fingers lightly touched them, pressing gently on my soft lips, suddenly evoking the memory of that night in the cold bathtub, feeling of those kisses and the tearing. After all, I've grown up now. Things are no longer as they were before. Liu Ruyan gave a cold laugh. "Why don't you agree?" I had no other choice, bowed my head and replied, "I understand. It'll come." Endurance and submission were all I had left. Liu Ruyan lowered her hand, looking a bit disappointed. She brought a strange man into the house. Yet I didn't dare utter a single question. If this were 5 years ago, I definitely would have caused a scene here. Now, everything is just nothingness. Liu Ruyan asked again, "Don't you want to know who he is?" The man in the room was still coughing. I turned my head to take a look. Perhaps he was a replacement Liu Ruyan had found. Women seeking a replacement for Xiang Opa were as fragile as paper. If you can't have the real thing, finding someone with a similar face is good enough. But I didn't care. Whoever the man by Liu Ruyan's side was, it had nothing to do with me. I just wanted to pay off my debts quickly, to live a peaceful, stable life. I whispered, "This doesn't concern me. I only need to take good care of him." Without knowing where the anger came from, Liu Ruyan violently grabbed me and dragged me into the room. She shoved me, and I tumbled down in front of Xiang Tao. Xiang Tao coughed softly. Looking frail, he asked, "Miss Liu." "This is Liu Ruyan, polite in appearance but ruthless at heart. The way she humiliates me is disgusting. This man is your servant. Feel free to order him around as you wish." Liu Ruyan walked out. Xiang Tao looked confused but still gently took my hand. He gave an innocent smile. "Brother, are you okay?" The screech of tires rang out. A sleek black car came to a steady halt. Yu Shu stepped out of the car. She strode into Liu Ruyan's private villa. heading straight into the first floor living room. Assistant Huang came out to meet her. He knew very well this visit boded no good. Assistant Huang bowed. "Miss Yi, what brings you here so suddenly? Our President Liu isn't here." Yi Shui waved him off, and Mac here for her. Assistant Huang blocked the path to the stairs. Assistant Huang stood in front of Yi Shui. "Then who are you looking for?" Yi Shui's face grew even colder. Even her faint smile was enough to send a chill down one's spine. One couldn't tell if that smile was benevolent or malicious. Yi Shui asked, "Shangda's younger brother. Liu Ruyan found him, didn't she?" Word of this had reached Yi Shui's ears. She was determined to come and see for herself. She and Liu Ruyan had been searching for Shangda's brother for years. Simply because that year the four of them went up the mountain together, standing on the peak, making wishes under the stars. Under that romantic and brilliant night sky, Shangdi Oppa wished to find his brother, lost for so many years. My wish was a bit more mundane. Without saying a word, everyone knew I wanted to marry Liu Ruyan. I looked up with my small face, clasping my hands together toward the starlit sky, quietly whispering my own heart's desire. But I had no idea that Shangdi Oppa and Liu Ruyan's eyes had met in the air, that moment of warmth spreading from that hand. Yi Shui ignored Assistant Huang's attempts to stop her. She barged inside and ran upstairs to find him. Assistant Huang had already called Liu Ruyan. But with just a moment's lapse, Yi Shui burst into Xiang Tao's room. I was holding a bowl of hot soup, feeding it to Xiang Tao. The spoon had just touched his lips, when I was violently shoved down. The soup bowl fell and shattered on the floor. The scalding soup spilled all over the back of my hand, burning a large area of my skin. I was in so much pain I had to writhe on the ground. Xiang Tao coughed in worry. "Xiaoji Hyun." Assistant Huang rushed in to intervene. Then he looked at me lying sprawled on the floor. He asked anxiously, "Mr. Yi, are you okay? Quick, go wash that burn." Thing became incredibly chaotic. Xiang Tao wouldn't stop coughing, and I was injured. But Yi Shui still wouldn't stop. She grabbed me tightly by the collar, after confirming that Xiang Tao was indeed Shang Di's brother. Because of that identical face, it was so easy to recognize. Yi Shui roared in anger. "Why are you here? You killed Shang Di Appa, and now you're here to harm his brother too." Yi Shui has always been like this. Whenever it involves Shang Di Appa, she loses all control. The ups and downs of the Shang family. Even if it were her own brother, she wouldn't have shown any mercy. My throat was being squeezed tight. My breath began to stifle. My vision started to blur. From the bed, Xiang Tao tried to stop her, but had no strength left. He was so frantic he could only let out dry coughs. Assistant Huang stepped in to help. But Yi Shui shoved him away violently. "Do you take me for a fool? How could Liu Ruyan possibly keep a disaster like you around?" Assistant Huang stood up and explained, "It's the truth. President Liu really did tell Mr. Yi to come here. If you don't believe me, just ask Mr. Shang. He can testify to it." Xiang Tao's face looked extremely frail. He was frightened out of his wits by this scene, but I had cared for him devotedly these past few days, feeding him every spoonful of hot soup and staying by his side to keep him entertained. So he still had a very good impression of me. He gave a weak, slight nod, acting as a witness for me. Yi Shui was half believing, half doubting. But she still gripped my throat tight. "Liu Ruyan might go easy on you, but I certainly won't. I can help her get rid of this menace." I felt like I was about to die. Dying at the hands of the person I'd called Nuna for decades. How bitter and exhausting. This feeling was exactly like when my biological father caught me. Perhaps ending like this would be a release. But Liu Ruyan finally arrived. As I collapsed onto the floor, my brain was severely deprived of oxygen. Tears streamed from the corners of my eyes. I blacked out for a moment. Assistant Huang ran over to help me up, lightly tapping my cheeks. The slight pain gradually brought me back to consciousness. Liu Ruyan pulled Ye Shui away, ignoring the person who almost got strangled to death on the floor. She immediately turned to comfort the terrified Xiang Tao. She sat down and gently patted Xiang Tao back. Xiang Tao was scared half to death. He leaned into her embrace and asked, "How is Xiaoji Hyung?" I couldn't stop her. "I'm sorry, he's fine." It turned out Liu Ruyan could be that gentle. She used to be this way with Xiang Di Oppa, and now it was for his brother. "Get some good rest. If you feel unwell, Nuna will call a doctor later." Yi Shui was also looking at Xiang Tao. It seems she also felt regret for scaring him. Out of all the people here, it turned out only Assistant Huang truly cared about me. I didn't know whether to feel happy or pity myself. After closing the room door,
Yeshu quietly rolled up her sleeves. The moment Liu Ruyan turned around, she delivered a thunderous slap to her face. Blood began to seep from the corner of her mouth. Liu Ruyan wiped away the blood with her finger. Her fingertips were stained a deep red. If I hadn't found out for myself. When were you ever going to tell me? Liu Ruyan calmly replied, tell you what? We agreed to search for Xiangdi Appa's brother together, and that once found we would make it up to him together. Not only did Liu Ruyan fail to do that, but she even called me here too. How could you Shu not fly into a rage? You're still as despicable and vile as you were back then. Only Yishu truly understood Liu Ruyan's deviousness.
What scheme she used while I was clinging to her.
To be by Xiangdi Appa's side, and how she sought every way to get rid of me. Just because of Xiangdi Appa's death. She had witnessed it all. Between those two women, she always seemed to be one step behind Liu Ruyan. It was that way with Xiangdi Appa, and it was the same with Xiangdi's brother. Perhaps Liu Ruyan was using a wet tissue to slowly wipe the blood off her hand. Blood was still seeping out as she turned her back to Yi Shui. Liu Ruyan was like someone buried deep in a thick fog, making it impossible to see through or understand her. I always thought you and I were competing fairly. Even if you're the loser, there's no need to be this angry. She tilted her face slightly.
A smile still lingered on her lips.
You and that foolish brother of yours. In this regard, you two are quite alike. As for me, the only person willing to stand up for me was Assistant Huang. He was driving, mumbling curses at Yi Shu's cruelty as he went. The young Miss Yi is too much. How could she just hit someone like that? Luckily, President Liu arrived just in time. Otherwise, who knows what would have happened. When I was still with the Yi family, in places where Mother Yi, Li Qin, wasn't watching, Yi Shu had humiliated me more than a few times, the most serious time. She heartlessly pushed me down the stairs. Fortunately, the stairs weren't very high. I only suffered a minor ankle sprain. Our President Liu is something else too.
How could she make you care for that Shanghai?
In Assistant Huang's heart. I was still the noble young master of the Yi family, and as kind-hearted as ever. What kind of nobody is he? And look who you are. Actually, since Shang Tao is Xiangdi Appa's brother, then these are things I should do. Assistant Huang never thought much of Xiangdi Appa anyway, and he thought even less of Shang Tao. Mr. Yi, in my eyes, you're the best. I could only give a bitter smile. Is there really anyone left in this world who sees me as good? These past few days, Assistant Huang has been picking me up and dropping me off regularly. My frequent visits to Liu Ruyan's villa were eventually discovered by Tang Xiaohu and Zhang Chen's group.
Assistant Huang dropped me off at the building. I stepped out of the elevator. While I was fumbling for my keys, a hand suddenly reached out from behind, grabbing my shoulder violently. There was a clink. The keychain fell straight to the floor. I was slammed down onto the floor. Immediately afterward, my mouth was gagged. My body was dragged backward. I thrashed my limbs, trying to cry for help. But no one came to save me.